Um, I think. Oh shit! Hold on. There is no music here. There we go. All right. Well. Hold on. Yeah. Welcome everybody. My name is Denarius. I'm back after a long, I think a month of hiatus. And today I wanted to start out a new show. This show is called Vtuber Gaming Talk. It's a podcast about basically video games and stuff related to those, just with Vtubers. It's basically that easy. And today I'll be joined by a dear friend of mine, Mega Alexiel or Alexiel or how he prefers to call himself. Please introduce yourself.
Hello there. I was thinking of a good, introductory thing to say. But yeah, as Denarius said, hello, my name is Mega Alexiel. You may also know me as Midori Alexiel or Alexiel somewhere else on the internet. I'm a shitposting voice actor and glitchy art demon. Pleasure to be here.
Alright. So, the thing with this show is basically I'm going to ask some topics, bring topics to the table and then we'll discuss it, like how approach it or opinions or that. It's just free care and chill here. It's just opinions and nothing of this need to be taken seriously unless the topic is way serious. So for starters, I wanted to ask, well, for the public here, your name. I'm guessing your name is based on something, right?
So, due to some, there are some jokes that fly around that my username is a very, very poor imitation of a Mega Man Robot Master. That's only partially the case. So, okay, let me give a little brief history, as I don't know, the timetable that we have set out here. So, the username originally started out as Mega Gamer with my initials, which I will keep secret because I'm stingy like that.
Understand.
However, I got quickly bored of that, and about 4 years after using that first username, somebody had misspelled my name as Alexander. Or no, somebody thought that my name was Alexander, and they misspelled it as Alexiel. I don't know how they managed to do that, but I thought it was cool, so I was like, I'm yoinking that, and incorporated it into my username. And for about, let's see, I've been doing content for about 10 years, let's see. I think for about 6 years after that, I've had the name Mega Gamer Alexiel. And yeah, I know Google Translate will tell you it's pronounced Alexiel. That is wrong. It's Alexiel. But trust me, it doesn't bother me as much as you think. But it is funny.
I'm guessing you get that all the time, yeah.
I do get it all the time. And so, about recently, I want to say half a year ago, or actually a few months ago, back in early December, I kind of got sick of the gamer being in the username because gamer kind of...
2012.
It's kind of an annoying meme.
Yeah.
Where it's like, yo, that's so gamer, bro! And I'm just like, no, I don't know. So
yeah.
I dropped that because that was when I joined a server that we both met at, and I was like, well, okay, I want to have both my usernames be in the same title. So I had to drop the gamer, and I was like, actually, that looks good. So I did a soft rebranding. So now I am Mega Alexiel.
Wow.
Now, the name Midori Alexiel is my VTuber avatar, but you may also be curious, but he introduced you with your IRL name too. That's because I go by both, because I'm also a shitposting voice actor by trade. So I kind of play with the fact that I have my IRL identity exposed, I guess. Oh no, he's doxing himself. But
yeah.
immersion never existed with me. I'm not as stingy as people will think when it comes to that. I just don't go posting my face out there for people to look for.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can now that I think about it, you can have really slight trace of your name or your whole name. As long as you don't post your face, you're good. Face and location, because that's an important thing. You just put your name. That could be everyone. Like no matter the name, that's a name.
Yeah, it's like that one Avatar quote. Try Lee. There's a million Lees.
Exactly.
But yeah, the other segue I had is how the name Midori Alexiel came to be. Well, I already told you how Alexiel came to be. The Midori part was kind of well, it's literally just Japanese for my favorite color, which is green. So
there you have.
Yeah, and some people make the joke. It's like, if y'all know me from the V-Stars days, yeah, remember that?
Oh,
they yeah, that's a low blow, right?
Yeah.
One person in there had joke. They didn't say this in a rude way. They sort of cracked the joke like, so I take it you're a My Hero Acca fan? I was like, what does that mean? Well, is your name a reference to Midoriya? I was like, no.
That's just a coincidence, which is funny because Midoriya itself is just, I think, a modified version of the green word from Japanese. It's just like that.
Yeah?
It's just coincidence, though.
It's got the same origin with his name, which I find ironically hilarious.
Yeah.
And we both share the same hair color, too, so it...
Yeah, kinda. He has borders on green. You have strings on green, which is different.
Well, actually, yeah. His hair is, I think, primarily green, but it's shaded with black because anime.
Yeah, you can't have a protagonist with black hair, you know? You can't.
Yeah, because there's just so many of them.
Stereotypes. Alright. I guess it's my turn now, since it's a topic. The name Denarius in general came thanks to a lyric on a Yakuza song named Receive You. There is a part that starts like, I don't know if singing in Spanish, but it says Dinero para mí, which is, I don't know what that means, but dinero is basically a really weird modification of the word dinero, which means money. Then I tried to do a slight variation of dinero to denarius, and I ended up with naming myself after a silver coin, a Roman silver coin. So that's a weird origin of this username I'm using right now. But before this username, I'm known as Rangeman. Rangeman is way easier to explain since it came from two sources. Team Fortress 2 and Watch Dogs 2. The range part is basically I love playing engineer in Team Fortress 2, and one of my favorite characters in video games is Range from Watch Dogs 2. And the man part with the double N at the end, hence why Denarius Den it has two N's, is because of the TF2 lore. The TF2 lore is one of the best things TF2 has, aside of course, the gameplay, but still. That's basically the origin of my two nicknames at this point in time. I
find it really funny that both your usernames have do both have the double N or just one of them?
No, both, if you count the Twitch one, since I'm using the same username for Twitch and Twitter. But I usually go by Denarius only, or Den, but most of my usernames have the Den part with double N.
Okay, so Denarius Den is like your full name.
Kinda, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a lot more simple of a backstory than I was thinking.
That's the backstory for my name. The backstory for the
character is another thing. Because I was very curious about that.
Well, you know. Moving on. The next topic will be... Well, let's go with simple. What's your favorite genre of video games in general?
My favorite video game genre? God, there's so many to pick from. It's like it would just fall out to action.
Action?
Yeah, action platformer, action open world action RPG, you name like anything with action, I think would be my. I think it's safe to say that primarily my favorite is action, and my secondary would be platformer.
So action platformer, basically, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty common since there are a lot of those, but I'm guessing you have a specific type of style you want that game on? Like, I don't know, something more cartoonish, more serious, or whatever. You know, there is...
It depends on the game.
Yeah.
Like, if I had to pinpoint a specific, like, action game type, I think stylish action would be more of my forte, because most action games I tend to play kind of blend into that same coin. Like, most people refer to them as hack and slash, most people refer to them as beat 'em up. I hate the term hack and slash, so I refer to it as stylish action, which is what it's primarily seen as.
Right.
So, stylish action I think would be the primary, like Devil May Cry, Metal Gear Rising, Bayonetta, like games like that.
Yeah, those technically are known as hack and slash, but they're not traditional beat 'em ups since they have, well, more ways than just punches and
Well,
kicks.
DMC 1 is actually structured like a beat 'em up, just in 3D.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, they ended up being hack and slash, even DMC 1, since for the use of weapons.
Well, a hack and slash is a game that requires no thought to be put into your combos.
Oh, snap, segue!
No, I mean, you can have combos, you can have stylish stuff, but at the end of the day...
Yeah, but how often do you see players actually using them?
Yeah, that's the difference between a beat 'em up and a fighting game, you know? The execution on a fighting game is way more rewarding than in a beat 'em up. What do you get by doing those long combos? You usually don't get more damage. In fact, I think you get less sometimes.
Yeah, there are some games that will actually cleverly show you that, hey, this string of attacks you're doing is not doing shit. You should probably... Oh wait, can we swear on this show?
Yeah.
Okay, hell yeah.
We're I think more than 10 minutes in, so yeah, go on.
Yeah, just speak your truth, gang. It's like most games have a clever system. Like going back to the DMC plot point, like I wouldn't say that's structured like a fighting game, but if I'm taking, well, okay, the first game is, you know, like I said, structured like a 3D beat 'em up, but like from the third game onward, they had a system that I wish fighting games would somewhat take a page from, because I think it'd be like it would probably take more effort, but then again, it's fighting games are different from action, so it's like they have like the style meter, and most games have something similar, but it's not always the exact same. It would basically say, hey, you're doing Stinger over and over. That's not going to do anything. Like, this enemy, yes, is dying really quickly, but like actually using different things in your move pool will net you better rewards in games like that, because the higher the style meter, the better reward. But that doesn't always translate well to, let's say, a fighting game where somebody's like, yo, catch this overhead, and then you just keep, you know, hitting them with a command grab and then just winning the match like that. It doesn't... There's nothing to gain from that. Like, yes, your time bonus for how fast you do the fight, if there is one, would be, like, probably decent, depending on the game. But you, as a player, and probably your opponent, would feel insulted or like, wow, I gained nothing from that. I just look like a massive tool.
I mean, if you make a fighting game that use that style meter for something, you have to literally get rid of every single command grab or grappler in the game. Like, you will just have boxers, shotos, and all of that, but you get rid of one of the important parts of the fighting game, which are the grapplers. Big damage with just complicated commands, but at the end of the day, that will be a good like incentive to the player. Get
Actually,
more
now
combos.
that you say that, technically fighting games do have a style meter, but it's not like the traditional one. It's like you know how games like MVC3 have like the little meter?
Yeah.
What's it called? X Factor?
Yeah,
They,
the X Factor.
Yeah. I think the better you do with your combat string, like, and the more you rack up a combo, the faster it's filled, right? That is like the payoff right there.
Well,
Because I would imagine spamming a technique would not fill it up any faster.
usually, well, in other fighting games, like the special meter bar, which you use to do supers regularly, usually fill up by just doing attacks and landing without the opponent to block it. Like, for example, let's say I'm playing King of Fighters, I throw a fireball, and if the opponent is hit and he's not blocking, I get more of my super meter compared to the opponent blocking the same special attack.
Yeah, it's like you would probably gain more of that meter if the opponent wasn't blocking versus blocking. Because, I mean, you'd still get a charge to your meter even with their blocking, but it wouldn't be as much.
Right.
I was making sure I was understanding that correctly.
Yeah.
Because, like, I am not an avid fighting game player like you are.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a very, very casual fighting game guy. Like, yeah, it's obvious what kind of game I would play. Like, I mentioned one of the ones that I used to play, which is MVC3.
Yeah.
But besides that one, the only other fighting game I played were usually the ones you wouldn't expect. Like, you ever played Inuyasha Feudal Fairy Tale on the PS1?
Excuse me? Okay.
Yeah, that is a real thing. It's like,
well, I'm no one to judge since I play literally every single fighting game of Dragon Ball there is. Like, you name, I played it. Maybe the PS3 ones.
I've played a good number of those ones too. I think the first one I played was Tenkaichi Budokai 3. I think that was the first one I played.
Yeah, that's the primo example of Dragon Ball fighting games from the PS2 era. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, that one was like the best one for years, wasn't it?
It was the one with the most characters in it, and it wasn't a quote-unquote good arena fighter. Was unbalanced as fuck, but still.
I mean, yeah, that game, I remember it being like stupid fun. Like, I mean, I played the Wii version, so we had like a crap ton of controllers to pick from.
Yeah.
I remember, I don't remember if you could use the Wii remote on its side, but I remember one of my cousins doing something. Oh yeah, I think you can.
Yeah, because one of the
not rewarding.
When you have a collision between two, like, let's say Kamehamehas, you will have to use the nunchuck to like push up your attack.
Right. Okay. So it was Wiimote and nunchuck then, because I remember the game had some like motion control shit.
Yeah.
So like, that was. Hang on. I think my sound driver just died. Give me a sec.
This is a normal thing. Just.
Oh wait, nope. Never mind. It was just a memory. It was just a memory leak, apparently.
Oh. Well.
Yeah, those happen a lot.
Yeah, I get it. Take issues with it, bitch.
The glitchy part of my title is not just for show. It is a thing that happens more often than not.
Trust me, I know the guy. It's telling the truth here. Will not lie about that. Now, continuing on, fighting games about anime in general. Well, not fighting games. Just there is some really good non-fighting game anime tie-ins that we can talk about. Do you have any in mind?
There's not really one that comes to mind immediately.
What can you...
Beside...
the Inuyasha one you mentioned.
Well, that one is an anime tie-in, so besides that one... Well, okay, there's obviously SNK.
Yeah.
Like, those ones I've played an avid amount of. Like, I think I told you that Gara was my favorite one.
Yeah, you told me that.
Yeah, and, what was the other one? There was a really good one that I played recently, actually. And I'm blanking on the name.
Last Blade?
but it was sorry,
Wasn't Last Blade?
Lost Blade.
Lost Blade, yeah.
I don't. Is that a fighting game?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard of that.
Well, yeah, it's a fighting game. It's like
Wait,
the
what
competition
system is it on?
I don't remember. I think there is like a re-release digitally for the Nintendo Switch, but I'm not so sure.
I'm sure it'll come to me. But I mean, okay, yeah. But besides SNK, there's obviously like Guilty Gear. I've played a little bit of that. Blaze Blue, Under Night and Birth, Melty Blood, like those types of games, like that aren't anime tie-in but are very anime influenced.
Oh yeah, Arc System
Like-
works like with anime in general. Like, if you
Yeah.
ask me, if Arc System works now, how they are working now, have the power of Bandai Namco, we will see a lot of fighting games based on a lot of good IPs. Like, just imagine a Dragon Ball Fighter style game, but with Naruto or One Piece characters, or even in My Hero Academia fighting game like that would be sick.
Yeah, like Bandai has made a few of, like they've made a few Naruto and My Hero fighting games
Well,
in the past,
that's
but never
what they
never like the Arc System type stuff.
No, the only Arc
That would be
System
cool.
type stuff they did was, of course, fighters, but
Yeah, like the only like licensed anime fighting game I know that they did was Dragon Ball Fighters. But like if they were to take like as you said, Naruto, My Hero, One Piece, hell, even probably Bleach, that shit would sell.
yeah,
Like I feel like a lot of people would be on that. I mean, okay, Bleach does have a traditional fighting game, but it's not very good from what I hear.
There's also to mention that Arc System Works is no strangers to working with third-party IPs. Like, they did it a long time ago for the NES, a Sailor Moon game, but they did also a Hokuto no Ken or Fist of the North Star game for the Dreamcast.
Hell yeah!
When
I remember that. That game was so good.
Yeah, I played that game on stream a few months back when I'm still streaming, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. It looks really, really similar to like Guilty Gear X. It was so fun.
Yeah,
so fun.
I remember as a wee tot playing that, and I was like floored. Like that was, I don't know if he had the Omae wa Mu Shinderu shit.
Yeah,
in
every
that game.
character
Like-
had an insta kill like that.
Well, no, I don't remember if he said it, but that might have been the first time I ever heard the meme. And then like years later, I hear it in like the funny YouTube memes.
Oh yeah.
It's like, haha, he said the thing. Wait, that sounds familiar, and it all went downhill from there.
Oh god. Well, the next thing I wanted to talk about is, did you have any like recent game you will like to play that you didn't play yet? I mean for consoles.
Oh, man. the
Because-
new Kirby that just came out, that one, that's on my radar.
Yeah, I guess as much.
It looks so fun. And obviously, for those that don't know me, I'm also a really big Klonoa fan. And those remakes, the moment I'm able to pre-order them in the States, I am hauling ass towards that pre-order button and throwing all my money at it. I mean, nothing is stopping me from getting Kirby. I apparently do have money saved up to get that right now if I wanted. But I have no way of actually driving down and actually buying it at the moment. So I sadly have to wait. But I'm surprisingly good about dodging spoilers. But from what I hear, that game has, like, barely any story. So, like, there's nothing for me to worry about if I accidentally see anything.
Well, it's kind of similar to Mario Odyssey now that I think about it.
Yeah, like... okay, well...
Mario Odyssey has a story, yeah, but
Well, yeah, but, like,
you don't see...
I know the question was geared towards like games that you want to play that haven't came out, but Mario Odyssey, as a game that's been out for years, and I didn't play that until recently. I was playing it around the time when I first met you, and to see that Kirby is having like a similar like adventure to that, I'm just like, Nintendo struck gold with that specific style of open world or segmented level.
Breath of the Wild did a lot for them.
Well, open sandbox style worlds is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but still, case on point, it's all thanks to Breath of the Wild if you think about it. Instead of just one big, gigantic open world, you have a lot of... It's still a little bit smaller, but open worlds at the end of the day in form of worlds.
Yeah, like open-ended sandbox levels have always been really fun. Like, it doesn't matter what game you're playing, they've always been really fun. Hell, even Mario Sunshine and arguably even Galaxy, they have a very similar structure in terms of gameplay, but the level design is either wacky, it's eccentric, open-ended, or linear as hell. But that doesn't take away the fun factor.
In fact, more to your point, in fact, Sunshine is kind of similar to Odyssey in that regard, since in terms of control, I feel. Yeah, and the levels, they are way smaller, but still kind of open-ended if you think about it. You have to explore the level to find the star.
Yeah, like Mario 64 and Sunshine, they had this groundwork laid out. It's like, okay, well, here's the objectives. Here's the ones that you can get, like, immediately. Here's the ones that you need this objective to get this objective. But then there's, like, Odyssey, where it's like, oh, you can just get these pretty much anytime you want. However, there are some that are barred behind story requirements, like, you can't get a certain painting moon without getting moon at the highlighted objective. It has like this mission mentality. Yeah, the limitation of the mission. Take any way to do it.
Yeah, they broke the mold with Odyssey, giving you literally the freedom to just find the star you wanted, or you just find. The thing is, they put a shitload of those without any need, I think, but still, the exploration is rewarded.
Yeah, it's like any game that does exploration well, and like you get rewarded for just going off the beaten path and just finding a cool secret. I wish more. It kind of reminds me of like the old Castlevania games where you'll be going like through a long hallway, going through a crap ton of enemies, and you're like one hit away from death. But then you just so happen to strike a wall and find some delicious wall chicken there to save you from the brink of death. It's rewarding. It didn't have to be there, but the fact that it was there to begin with is a very thoughtful gesture. And when games do that, it makes me feel all giddy. It's just like it's like there's like a running joke with me where it's like, oh, if you see a waterfall, there's more often than not something behind that. I have Okami to thank for that little trait, because that was the first game I noticed that trend. Yeah. Where like, because almost every waterfall in that game, there is either a secret stray bead, a bag of feed. Hell, sometimes you'll find a solar fragment to upgrade your health, and it's just like, you didn't have to go there to get that, but the fact that there's something there waiting for you is great.
Yeah, that's the thing with exploration in video games. It's so cool finding a chest with some extra money, or like you said, food to recover some health in a moment of need. It's so cool. Now, what else? Oh, the next topic is video game soundtrack. Do you have a specific video games you have a preferred soundtrack for?
You mean like just my favorite soundtrack for a game?
Yeah, or your top 5?
Oh god, putting me on the spot with the top 5 one. I swear I had this written down at some point. Well, I already mentioned Okami, so I'm very biased in that one. Like the instrumentation in that game, like that whole game is literally just a walking art piece.
Yeah.
And like the music is beautiful, like,
and fits super well.
Like if I had to highlight I'm gonna take like 5 games and just highlight key songs, because like that would hammer home my point a lot better.
Yeah.
Like, when speaking of Okami, you have Ushiwaka's Dance, which is Waka's theme, and yeah, that's not the American name. I don't care. Like, that's literally just the mini boss theme, but with a flute. And it, like, when you first fight him, you got this suave looking motherfucker jumping from a tree, just like, oh hey, I'ma fight you now. And like, here he is out here making DMC and Beautiful Joe references with a kick-ass boss theme that you only hear twice, mind you.
Cool.
And it just hammers home the fact that not only do you get a good but pathetically easy fight, but you get some good music along with it. And there's also like Susanoo's True Power, which is like a primary character in the game, like latter half of his story, which is like near the end of the first third of the game. Yeah, like the 1/3 of the game, you hear like this great remix of Susanoo's main theme, but it's all triumphant and not cowardly, and it's just like you get to see him being a badass, and it's so good. And of course, every theme, like pretty much everything involving Ryoshima Coast, that main theme is beautiful. That now, Daenerys had told me I could have put together a playlist, and unfortunately I didn't have time. That song would have been in that playlist if I actually was able to sit down and actually,
in fact,
have the...
one of the things I was planning to do is just jump into the other room and analyze that playlist a little bit, but it's fine. Still, we can tackle the topic, so it's okay.
But yeah, like one last song from Okami that I feel needs to be mentioned. Well, okay, it's like 3 songs in particular that go really well together, and they're all in the final area. It's like, you have Shiranui, who is a character who has been alluded to since the moment you wake up at the beginning of the game. Like, you never get to see him in his prime, because you're playing as Amaterasu for the whole game, and she's basically just a reincarnation stripped of all of her former abilities. But then you randomly see Shiranui just standing there menacingly, but amazingly, and he's got this glorious angelic sounding theme. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, the game says the official name of the theme is Okami Shiranui, but Benevolent God, I think, is the Japanese name for it, and it literally feels like the theme of a god in a Japanese setting, and it is so good. Like, you got the angel choiring, you got the instrumentation, and then when he fucking howls and power slash 13, whatever the hell kind of skill that was in his introduction, it just makes you scream hell yeah when you see it. And like right after that, like I think 2 cutscenes after that, or no, it's the same cutscene. There's the character Oki, who is a personal favorite of mine. He has 3 different themes. No, he has 2 themes. You have his regular theme, which is a great acoustic string piece. And then you have Brave Warrior Oki, which is the same theme, but sped up and just more in your face. Like, yeah, he was kind of a dick when you first met him, but now he's on your side. He's ready to kick ass and save his home. And the synchronized howl that they both give, like at the peak end of that, is great. Ooh. And of course, there's the final boss theme, which you might know from Marvel vs. Capcom 3,
which is
Rising Sun.
Yeah, the Amaterasu theme.
Yeah, Rising Sun is the peak penultimate song. Shout out to T's Music for that wonderful track. Actually, no, I don't think it was T's Music that composed it. But either way, it's such a good fucking track, and even like every remix of that song that exists is beautiful. And speaking of beautiful, the final segue for Okami specifically is the original credits theme from the PS2 version, because every re-release had this song axed, and I hate that. you have the song Reset, which is a beautiful vocal piece, which is sang from the point of view of Isun, who is your companion character for that game. And every version of that song is great. There's like several English versions that exist. There's several... Hell, I think there was a Spanish version I found, like, randomly, but I didn't listen to it because it was blocked in my area, so I couldn't listen to it, which is weird. But I would imagine it's great. And then you have, personally, the best version of that song I think exists is the you have the Messianella cover. That one's great. Well, it's a Family Jewels color, but Messiah sang it.
Yeah.
Still a great cover. Highly recommend it.
Yeah.
But then you have the video game orchestra version from their album Video Game Unplugged, which has a lot of other great remixed songs from, like, I think Nier Automata is one of them. You have things from Resident Evil. I think there's a Street Fighter remix in there too. I don't remember which theme. It was probably Guile's theme.
Yeah, most probably. It's the most common one when it comes
either
to
Guile
orchestra.
or Ken's themes. It was one of those.
Or both.
And not only did the guy translate the original meaning of the lyrics into English swiftly and perfectly, but he sang it in the original key of the original singer. And this dude is like too powerful for this world. And of course, like, from a game that has great Japanese instrumentation and knows how to make you feel all types of emotion, you have, I think, my second favorite soundtrack, which is a tie between Wind Waker and Devil May Cry 1. With Wind Waker, you have this adventurous, mysterious, bombastic adventure, and, like, key highlights being Mulgara's battle theme, Ganon's final battle, the Great Sea, Grandma's theme, and just every song in that game is wonderful. And then you have Devil May Cry just coming out here with, you got your hard rock, you got your vaporwave type stuff. Highlights being Ultraviolet, which is Nello Angelo's theme. Every version of that song is great, and I'm mad that song did not, like, actually, no, I was about to say that song didn't make it in any other game. It's in Project Cross Zone, but that remix is not great from what I've heard.
Well,
but it's like, it's a great, oh, Discord died for a second.
Oh.
But it's a great song, and it's like, all three of those games I mentioned are fucking great, and you should play them.
Oh yeah, of course.
But the final game that, to segue back to my introduction from earlier, it's no secret I'm a Mega Man fan.
Yeah, Mega Man.
I have no specific favorite Mega Man soundtrack, so it's hard to pin down. Like, hell, I have a whole top 10 list of my favorite opening themes from the Japanese versions of X games.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that video is blocked worldwide. Thanks, Wildfang.
Well, that's happened. That's why one thing I wanted to allude, which is video game music that has heavy lyrics and are used for openings. If you try to use, for example, the Persona 3 FES opening, or even whatever Persona game you are trying to use, like the opening theme, they will block your ass, like, instantly. But
the same can be said for pretty much any Kingdom Hearts game.
Yeah, well, Kingdom Hearts is way heavier since it's not just Square Enix. We have the mouse over there taking numbers, you know.
I will take your ad revenue.
Well, continuing the topic of, you finished your list, right? Like the list of video game music.
Well, yeah. Basically, the final thing I was gonna say on the Mega Man point is that I have no specific soundtrack. Literally every song in that franchise is great.
Yeah,
even the ones that you think are bad.
Yeah,
like all bangers. It's like, oops, all bangers.
Yeah, basically. Well, Capcom has, at least for what I know, I can consider Devil May Cry the third. Like, if you count franchise as a whole with banger soundtrack from Capcom, the first two that come to mind are, funny enough, Street Fighter and Mega Man. Mega Man has
because
a long
I think
story.
a lot of both those games I think share a composer too, or like I think a few of them at least.
Yeah, in
So-
a few different games, maybe.
So yeah, it like I think the you can correct me on this if I'm wrong.
Mhm.
I think the because I don't know Street Fighter as well as you do, but I'm pretty sure the guy who made the original Mega Man soundtracks started from the first Street Fighter and is still doing it to this day. I don't know how accurate that claim is, so if you know the real answer to that, feel free to correct me. But it's just like that whole segue. Wait, how am I gonna segue this? This is your show. I'm not the one segueing here.
Yoshihiro. That's the name of the composer for the first Street Fighter.
Okay, wait. First Street Fighter, as in the first
First-
one on arcade,
Yeah,
or
the first
Street Fighter
first
2?
one. No, first Street Fighter. Like,
Okay, because most people tend to forget the first one exists.
yeah, well, everybody does, except Capcom,
I mean, yeah.
funny enough. But it's deserved that game is really hard
Yeah.
to play.
That game is kind of yeah.
Yeah, we don't talk about Street Fighter 1, that's the thing. But still, if you... Well, I guess it's my turn to just give you my top 5, but... I think it's pretty obvious what are my two most, since, well, I'm a big fan at this point. But I'm gonna make it simple and quick. First off, Yakuza. Yakuza games in general have a banger soundtrack, whatever you
Hell
look at.
yeah, they do. What's your specific favorite?
Ooh.
Like if you had to pinpoint your favorite Yakuza soundtrack, which one would you pick from the ones you've played?
Shit, it's Sunday, god damn it. Because if this show was on
before,
Friday,
like
if this
like-
show was on Friday, I would just say
there was more I
fine.
could have listed when I was.
Oh, he just died. Oh god. Oh god, Discord died for him. Hold on.
Specific favorite.
Yeah.
I'm curious because like
Uh,
who knows?
Well,
We most likely have the same favorites.
yeah, for Yakuza in general, I go with Friday Night.
Hell yeah!
From Yakuza 0. I think it's For Faith from Yakuza 4.
Ooh.
Then you have the intro theme for Yakuza 0.
Which one?
The American one. That's
that
my
one was-
favorite.
Yeah, that one was my my stream opening song for like a good while,
Yeah, I love that song.
and it was even my alarm. But it got to the point where I think I told you about this, where certain video game themes I'll set as my alarm,
Mhm.
and it gets to the point where I'll forever hear that song differently. Like for example, before I think back in December, I had the Yakuza 0 intro theme as my alarm, and it started sounding different for me. So I switched it over to, I think, the first 2 levels from Klonoa 2, and now those songs sound different, which is unfortunate because both those songs together are my favorite in that game, even though I haven't played it yet. But I'm gonna change that, I swear, because I hear that's the best one. And now it's the Mega Man 2 boss theme, which I can't hear the like in the background of it anymore, and it sucks. It's like I'm just hearing the dun.
It's too good when it cuts out like that. Oh,
So I dodged a bullet there.
yeah.
You probably wouldn't have heard it on my mic, but
No,
still.
it got it just in time. It's perfect. No,
Oh no, it didn't go off at all. I stopped it before it could.
yeah, well, continuing on with my list, the fourth would be I don't remember how it's called, but it's the theme song for the boss fight for a boss fight on Yakuza 6. Junjin Han, it's the name of the guy. Just search for that.
Yeah, it's the final boss theme.
No. He's not the final boss. He's not the final boss.
Wait,
In
is he
Yakuza
not?
6, no, he's not the final boss.
Oh, no, okay, no, I'm thinking of a different dude then.
Yeah, you might be thinking of Two Dragons from Yakuza 0, but that's not in this list. I love that song.
Two
but
Dragons. Two Dragons is a whole other beast. And
yeah.
actually, segueing back to Yakuza 0 for a quick sec.
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact name of this song, but I remember it has like an opening beat of dan 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 dan, and like it just like transitions into like this Eurobeat type shit. It's when you fight that dude in the sewer, like dragon something. Dragon's Wrath.
No. Blaze of a Demon. That's
Yeah,
Kusa's
that's
theme. That's Kusa's
That's
theme.
the one.
Yeah.
That I think if I had to pinpoint my favorite Yakuza song, it might have been that one.
Yeah, that's a number one for everybody. But to be completely
it's so
fair
fucking
with you,
good.
to be completely fair with you, that song grew a little bit on me because like I said, I played every single Yakuza game at this point except for 8. Yakuza Like a Dragon is the only one I'm missing, but I already hear a lot of songs from there, and it's amazing. But still,
like the OST in like both English and Japanese, like Yakuza 7 is a wonderful soundtrack.
Like in the series in general, but the number one will be, funny enough, what is it? Fly Like a Butterfly. That's a karaoke song.
Yeah. For a minute, I thought you were gonna say Judgment.
No.
And I had like this whole bit planned where I was just gonna go, breaking.
No. That will be too easy. But nah, I'm going with Fly Like a Butterfly. That song is just amazing.
That's a Majima song, right?
No. The Majima song is 24 Hours Cinderella, but this song is from Yakuza 6.
Oh, right, yeah, Majima's not playable in that one.
No. Funny.
Yeah, no, 24 Hour Cinderella, I think, was the other one.
Yeah.
It's just so goofy.
Yeah. Well,
I want to learn that song.
There is another song that Majima sing that, funny enough, it's on the spin-off Yakuza Dead Souls, which is Get to the Top. I think it's the death version or something like that.
Wait, okay, hang on. The Dead Rising like game in the Yakuza series has a karaoke mode?
Yeah. And
that is so
and Majima,
funny.
and if you think Majima looked crazy doing the 24 Hour Cinderella, you hear that song and you can hear the lunacy out of the guy. Like,
I'm gonna look that up after this because I believe you.
Yeah, and prepare your ears. That thing hurts a little bit. It's full of highs and lows on the pitch of the voice actor. It's amazing how fast he can change. It's so good.
Majima's voice actor is a gift to the world.
Yeah.
like it doesn't matter what your flavor of Majima. Like you got. It's like corporate needs you to find the difference between these three Majimas. Here we have Joker. Here we have Crazy Guy. And here we have Matt Mercer. Meanwhile, I'm over here like, they're the same picture. So I like all three of them.
Yeah. The guy is just way too good for what he's done at this point.
But like, I do have a bias since the series has been in Japanese for a lot longer than it has been in English.
Oh yeah.
Like every time I hear that, yeah, Kiryu-chan, I'm just like, hell yeah.
I love it. Yeah, that's the best part about Majima. It's just the guy looks serious sometimes, menacing, but then you have that screech. That screech sells it. It's so good.
I think my favorite portrayal of him is in Yakuza 0, where he's just like, he's like calm and collected for a majority of it. Like when you first meet him, he's just like, Oh, my apologies. The customer's always right. Oh, look at that! You fell down like a boom boom.
The best introduction for a character you can have in video games ever.
Yeah.
No, like hands down.
The guy's trying to humiliate him, but Majima's just like, Uno reverse, motherfucker.
Yeah.
It's like...
With all and a whole theme song for just that part. It's amazing. In fact, that is a close for the number 1 too. Customer Grid is amazing for just one time music. It's so good.
It's such a good party. It's like a good party song too.
Yeah, I love it.
It's like imagine going to a mosh pit and just throwing that on. Wonder what will happen.
Well, continuing on, the next series will be Persona. But if I'm being honest with you, I didn't play a lot of Persona since they are a very, very long and heavy type of games. Like they're so long.
They are stupidly long, I believe you, yeah.
Yeah, but to be fair, at least the experience I got in the main series, not spin-off games like Persona Q or the portable games, just Persona 3, 4, it's a good experience. Like, I enjoyed a lot of my time there. It's full of emotions and good soundtrack. But if I have to take like one specific game for the soundtrack, is Persona 3. Persona 3 has, for me, the best soundtrack of the whole series. Hands down. Like, every song in Persona 3 you hear hits way hard.
It hits like a truck. It's like most people call me crazy when I say I prefer P3's soundtrack over P5. And they're just like, well, you just can't understand the beautiful jazz that is Persona 5. I'm like, bitch, see if you can rap the entire battle theme without taking a breath. I'll wait.
The thing is,
it's like
the style of both, the style of the games, each installment just changed a lot. Like, you're going from a big like capital town, like the Persona 3 game rolls around, to a small town in the boonies, like Persona 4, and then you go another big city, but more like modernized city in Persona 5.
Yeah, like a more compact, yeah.
Yeah, we're going from 2002 to 2003, I think it's the time frame for Persona 3, to Persona 5, which is, I think, just modern time, like 2015? No, I think it's 2016, 2018. I don't remember the year of the game.
It sounds about right.
But still, the thing is, it's just depend of your choice and your taste on music, I think, because, like I said, every game has a different soundtrack by far, and it's just to grab the specific public if you think it like that. In my case, I prefer Persona 3 more than 4 and 5. If you like Persona 5 more than 4 and 3, it's just on you. Every single game has bangers on the soundtrack. I'm not gonna lie to you. Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, for example, has a lot of songs, originals for that game, that are amazing. Like, the intro theme for the game is just a sellout instantly for me. But that
game came out recently, didn't it?
Yeah, a re-release. I
still need to actually try that.
Yeah, I will get Rollback Necon soon, so better try it out now before you repent on that. Because I know your opinion on
Rollback's
Rollback.
not a it's not a selling point for me, so I'd play it no matter what, really.
Well, but that's what I mean. You told me before you have a little bit of an issue with Rollback netcode, but...
Yeah, I have an issue what's called one-sided rollback, where it doesn't always work like it should. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. Rollback, what it does is all those lag frames that you would normally experience are instead just replaced, and it just like jumps ahead to make it look like it never happened to begin with, so it just acts like you're playing locally when really you're not. What happens with me is those frames are sometimes doubled, or straight up it doesn't advance to the next frame, therefore my opponent will be able to play like normal, Meanwhile, I'm freeze-framed like, what the hell's going on? It should be seamless between the two of us. And it is a bug that has plagued me forever, to the point where if a fighting game tournament like back when I used to do them, if they required them, I'd be like, hey, I got an issue with this, so there's a chance it might happen. And more often, there's only one other time that it hasn't happened, and that was when Cross-Tag Battle first got it. Now, people keep telling me the Switch version didn't get it. That is bullshit. It did get it. However, there's a glitch with it, as I soon found out, and I did send in a bug report. Every time I say bug report, I just remember like the old red versus blue shit.
Oh.
But I sent in a bug report saying, hey, I don't think this is working like it should. And apparently there's like, they apparently disabled it on the Switch version, so they can fix it. So if you own the Switch version of Cross-Tag Battle and you're wondering why your rollback's not working like it should, fear not, they're fixing that bug, which only a few people have apparently experienced.
Huh.
But every other version of the game that's out there with it, it should work just fine. Or as it should.
Right, I just remembered, Cross-Tag Battle is technically recently just got the rollback nectar treatment since...
Yeah, it just got it like...
Before the...
ago?
Yeah, I remember hearing that a few weeks before the announcement for Persona 4 Ultimax re-release. Because it was a few days before the Game Awards. Yeah, I remember that. So...
It wasn't a few days before Game Awards, was it?
A few days or weeks, but it wasn't the same time frame.
It might have been like 2 or 3 weeks after, because like Cross-Tag Battle got it the same day that one of the Blaze Blue games did.
Yeah, Chrono Phantasma, I think it's called.
Yeah, that one.
Or it was Central Fiction, I don't remember, but still, Blaze Blue game.
No, Central Fiction, it was that one.
Yeah. Well...
You can tell, I don't know Blaze Blue that well besides Cross-Tag and maybe the... Actually, no, Central Fiction was the other one I played.
I don't know practically nothing about Blaze Blue, so I will not know anything about it. I know it's complicated on both gameplay and trauma.
All people really... All I know about it, based on what people have told me, is that I sound like a combination of Jin and... whatever the cat dude name is.
I think it's Jubei.
Jubei, yeah. The apparently I sound like multiple characters in that, which honestly, I believe that.
Well, continuing on, I think third series will be... What will be... Well... it will be a waste not mentioning the soundtrack for the King of Fighters games. It will be just a waste. More being me. Like, nowadays I'm enjoying way more the soundtrack for the KOF series more than I did in the past. But still, I have to say, every single game, no matter which time frame it came out, has really good soundtrack. Some songs hit more than others, but still, it's a solid soundtrack.
Yeah, and if you had what would your favorite What would your favorite What would your favorite King of Fighters soundtrack be if you had to give a personal favorite?
98.
Figured, because that was also my favorite for a while.
Yeah, King of Fighters 98 has one specific thing about it, since it's the last game on the Orochi saga, it was a dream match, and was the last appearance of literally my main at this point, which is Heavy D, and I love Slum Number 5, it's my favorite song on that game at this point. And also the Rugal theme.
The remix of Spread Your Wings, like...
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, the remix that you sent me of, like, Rock's theme in that sound font, yeah. I was literally just, like... I was just, like, you know the Midoriya gif where he's, like, rocking back and forth in the chair?
Yeah, I love it.
That was me. That was me the whole time listening to that. I was like, yeah!
Oof.
because it scratched that itch that like that theme, like pretty much every version of that theme that exists is great, but then you have the remixes which take it a whole step further, and then you have Emergence, I think is his theme in 14. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I need to see if there is a remix for that theme for Rock in KOF 15, since they implemented
Honestly,
they implemented something really cool, which is if you're playing the story mode with certain characters and you're fighting another character, they interact, and when they interact and fight, you can unlock a special song for that fight, and then you can use it on the DJ station. The DJ station, the DJ station is the
amazing.
best part, because you can customize the themes of the stages and the menus, which is so cool. Like,
yeah, because okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Sometimes the depending on the character you'll play, will it always play the main? No, what game am I thinking that actually does that? Where it'll play the character's main theme throughout the whole match? Is it Guilty Gear that does that?
No, that's a Street Fighter specific thing, because if you remember, if you remember Street Fighter 2, you just have these stages, but technically the themes are associated to the characters that stage is
No,
in.
that's just for your opponent, though.
Well, that's the
I
thing.
mean, like, I just mean when you're the player.
No, that's a Street Fighter 4. Your theme will kick in when you're fighting your rival. For example,
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, for example, you're playing Cody and you get to the stage when you need to fight your rival, your theme will kick in. Just like that.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. But in case some point in King of Fighters, there are few characters that have specific themes, and some of them are just remixes of all themes modernized on KOF 15. I'm waiting for the soy sauce for geese in that soundtrack. And the Rual one.
Yeah, didn't that one Rual's the newest character getting added.
Yeah, he's going to be a free DLC before the other pack comes in.
Wait, hold up. Like, is Team Garo out?
Yeah, it's already out. For a few days.
Were they free DLC or are they just paid?
Those are paid, because there is a team. But Rugal is a special case because he's a boss fight. Like, he comes with a game mode and all of that.
Okay, so yeah, he's basically pulling a Sephiroth in Smash Bros.
Basically, but he's free to play from the start. You don't need to unlock him. You have the boss fight to unlock a skin for him. And the soundtrack and the stage.
Like for this... Well, okay, yeah, because I just remembered for the Sephiroth thing, you had to have bought the Fighter Pass, and then, like, that little mode would have been available if you had it, and you could unlock them early, which I think literally everyone did.
Yeah, you just needed to beat it on easy, and you have already Sephiroth unlocked earlier. Which, to be completely fair, it's cool, but at least a good challenge from that mode would be better, I think, more rewarding. You're unlocking literally one of the most recognizable figures on the whole Final Fantasy series. You will have to give it, like,
unless you're like
boss fight.
A 5-year-old and the only game you've ever played is like Neopets or Fortnite on your mom's phone.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, who is this guy? And like everybody would just be like, what is wrong with that child?
Well, that's the thing with all like icons of the gaming industry. Some people will not recognize them, sadly. But
yeah,
well,
I think it's safe to say that like we're in that age where even younger kids will be like, hey, I know this thing, but I know them from that thing. I know that's not their source of origin. Like, I know some people who jokingly will say, yo, that's Pac-Man from Smash Bros. I'll be like, well, yeah, you're half right.
Yeah.
God.
that hurts, you know? I mean,
Yeah,
I love
that kind of shit hurts.
Yeah, I love the thing that they are on the spot in literally the biggest crossovers ever made, but still hurts that everybody will know them just because of that crossover. Like, they are characters outside of that game. There are legacies behind those characters that are outside of that game, too.
God, I love Shulk Smash Bros.
Oh, fuck.
I remember hearing that like back in 2018, and I was like, "Why are
I'm
you
really
like?"
feeling it! God!
I'm really feeling it. God,
Fuck!
that every
Oh.
God. Actually, speaking of Xenoblade, what's your thoughts on that soundtrack?
I need to hear that a little more. I'm disconnected from most Nintendo IPs, like modern Nintendo IPs nowadays. I know Shulk existed since the GameCube, but the popularity of that game...
Wait, GameCube? No, he's been around since the Wii era.
Since the Wii, that right, because it was a niche game. That thanks to Smash Bros. For the Wii U and 3DS, they got more popular for that game and the re-release on the Wii U? But still.
Well, technically 3DS, but then it got re-released on Switch.
Yeah. But still.
Oh wait, no, it was on Wii U. Never mind.
I'm still wondering how would you re-release a Wii game on a 3DS, but yeah.
Well, the new 3DS had like a very, very, very down-sampled version of the Wii game, but it added some things. And then the Switch version kind of gave it a visual facelift and carried some of those new things from the new 3DS version over. So that's why that exists.
Hi, Emma.
But they also wanted the art style to be consistent with the rest of the series because they have like a new style from X onward.
Yeah.
And
I think you want to say hi to the chat. It's someone special on there.
Oh, hi, Emily.
Oh, and she has a subscription to Iron Mouse, huh? Awesome.
Someone probably gifted her that sub, if I had to guess.
Yeah, cool. Glad you're here. Now, continuing on, what I was about to say. Oh yeah, the Rugal boss fight. It will be technically a first installment of a company giving free stuff, like a lot of free stuff for doing just one challenge. The challenge unlocks an exclusive skin, a stage, which is the first stage will be added to the game, and the theme song, which is the thing I'm aiming for. But
What's his theme's name?
I think it's Unlimited R in 2002, but there is a lot of.
Is he the
name
boss
changes.
from that game?
No. Rugal is technically a legacy boss fight. He was the boss
from like
for
Fatal Fury days.
No, for literally King of Fighters 94 and 95. He was the boss on those two games. Then was Godness and Orochi, but the series in general rolls around and likes to literally throw him into a secret boss fight or as a literally character broken ass, like returning on Dream Match character. Like, you know, King of Fighters 98 is a technically non-canonical and is a Dream Match. There are several other installments on the King of Fighters game that are like that, like King of Fighters 2002, and they bring Rugal back on those games. As a
that makes
fight.
a lot of sense.
Yeah. He's basically a nightmare. A living nightmare rolling around the King of Fighters series. He's the creator of the term SNK boss syndrome, which is a really difficult boss that input reads the shit out of you.
Yeah, I've heard very conflicting things about that, where it was it's like, wow, you got this really cool character. Unfortunately, they're a tough as nails boss, and it's not fun to fight them.
Oh yeah.
But some people manage to find the fun in that.
Yeah. I mean,
for me, I just find it more annoying. It reminds me back in the days when I used to play Tekken with my dad, we would try to fight the final boss
Ogre, yeah.
of that game. Yeah, Ogre. That fight was... It's not comparable to the shit that SNK probably had to deal with,
No.
but it was pretty damn similar
I mean,
in some regards.
there are boss fights that are really hard. I'm not gonna lie to you. Some SNK bosses are really easy. In fact, there is an SNK boss I consider the easiest, which is the first Zero. But in any case, SNK boss syndrome is just thanks to 94, which the computer in that game was so cheap that literally just input rinse the shit out of you. But afterwards, the bosses are quote-unquote way easier, except for Ignis, which it's literally just a broken-ass character, but aside of him, it's just quote-unquote hard, but you also need to keep in mind you're playing King of Fighters. You have to do pretzel motions to do the high damaging stuff, and doing combos there is way more technical. Thanks to the people out there, King of Fighters 15 is way different. Like, it's a really fresh air compared to King of Fighters like older, like 94, 98, or even the 2000s ones. Those are complicated pretzel motions most of the time, with like changing angles way rapidly from neutral to back to forward. It's complicated, but now they're more simple because it's fluid motions.
Yeah, it's like, imagine going into like the training mode and you want to learn a specific combo, and then it's just like, all right, first you do a spin, double take 3 times, 1, 2, 3, then pelvic thrust, woo!
Yeah.
Woo! Quarter circle back, don't forget it! Now it's time to Buster Wolf around town! Buster Wolf around town! And then you do a shining knuckle, then a geising whatever the fuck, and... oh, you're already dead.
Yeah.
It's just a whole hodgepodge of just like complicated inputs. But some of them aren't even that complicated. But then, like, when you're like me, who can't read fighting game inputs to save your life sometimes,
yeah,
I'm just like, this is like a foreign language. This is like wingdings to me. I don't know how to read this shit.
Yeah, fighting game lingo is fucked. Like, can fuck like, your head really hard.
It's like, if a game has... okay, if a fighting game has a UI, for example, like, sometimes... now, I'm glad that there's, like, some games out there that'll be like, okay, hey, this button does this one does that, this one does that, and these are the only ones you need to remember. But, oh, also, there's these other buttons that'll do combos of these, like, when you press them at the same time. And I'm just like, okay. The game I can think of that does that is Melty Blood, where... well, Type Lumina specifically. There's a... well, most ArcSys games that I've played, like Under Night and Melty, they have like a... They have a system. Like, the button combinations are color-coded. And usually they're placed in a way... like, for example, if you're playing the game with an Xbox controller, sometimes the color on the controller will match the colors you're seeing on screen, so it's a lot easier to remember those inputs. But then again, ArcSys games are usually easier about inputs, depending on the game.
Yeah.
So it's not the same as SNK. It feels like modern SNK.
Yeah.
With like KOF 14 was the last one I played, so like I'll compare it to that.
Yeah.
Where like the control in that game for me felt really smooth and responsive. But then again, I was playing on my laptop, and mixed results there. But from what I still played, it was very smooth and responsive, and hell, it felt like I was playing 13, which was the one I played previous to that. And comparing it to Under Night or Cross Tag or Melty, I can just like rewire a lot of those inputs in my head, like, wow, okay, a lot of these are still similar, because... yeah, you can just keep pressing the same button and it will still do a combo. But at the same time, it branches off like an action game, but just in a fighting format.
Right.
And like SNK, I feel kind of does the same thing, but it's a little more complicated. Which, yeah, it's an older fighting game franchise. It's gonna do that shit.
Nah.
And
technically not, but that's the identity for SNK games, if you think about it, because you could say the same for Street Fighter, but Street Fighter always has 6-button layouts and quote-unquote simple input motions.
Yeah, it's like, it may look very complicated on paper, but once, like, there's a science to it. Like, once you learn it, it becomes second nature, and you can, like, I'm one of those people who sometimes will act on sound cue, which is not the thing you should be doing in a game if you're like me, but sometimes I'll look at my controller, quickly figure out, okay, I'm gonna counteract it with this, and then when it doesn't work, that's just like, okay, that just wasn't fast enough, or I wasn't paying attention. But once you get to the point where you can just effortlessly do the command without having to look down, it's like a very cathartic feeling. But then there's me, who always has to do it no matter what, because I have several controllers, and I'm finally at that point where I forget which one's Xbox and which one's Switch, because I never owned an Xbox controller before 2 years ago.
Ooh.
And now I get what the big hullabaloo's about. But most people tend to forget that Nintendo kind of had that form factor first with controllers.
Yeah. Also, am I saying here, unless you're playing rhythm games. Like,
yeah, rhythm games are a whole other beast, yeah.
Yeah,
it's like,
she got
that's
a
a
point.
whole...
Sound cue is really important on those games. And sometimes I hear the comparison between fighting games are kind of like rhythm games. You have a specific rhythm for your motion inputs if you follow them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a really good point, actually, where one of the games that I know Emily plays a lot is Muse Dash. That game is... That's like the one game... Like, that's probably the one rhythm game I can play, because it looks simple, but once you get higher up in the modes, it's a whole other beast. Now, a game I can't compare to anything is Beat Saber.
Oof.
That game, like, there's a lot of physical and mental gymnastics you have to do at the same time, and that is the only rhythm game I am good at. Because I'm a fucking anime nerd, of course I'm gonna be good at the fucking Beam Saber sword game.
Yeah.
But at the same time, a lot of somebody managed to make a map in that game that felt like you were playing a fighting game, and I can't remember like what the map was, but it was really good. But you were just looking really aggravated there for a second. It was funny.
Oh yeah, my contact glasses are, I don't know if in a good position, because I'm not seeing really well right now, but still, it's because of that. But
yeah, I would imagine you're still not used to them.
No, I'm used to them, funny enough, but I'm not used to put them.
Actually, you just reminded me, I need to clean mine.
But anyhow, I think I mentioned just 4 series now. Persona, Yakuza, SNK, King of Fighters in general. What else?
Did you mention Guilty Gear?
No, I'm not mentioning Guilty Gear. Funny enough, I love Guilty Gear soundtrack. I love the rocky vibes that game gives me. A lot of the games, really, because the Korean OST for Guilty Gear is awesome. Like, metal as hell. But I'm a little bit biased for Sonic in this regard, if you understand me. Like,
yeah, that is... I can feel Emily's Emma tingle just going off at the mention of Sonic. That is another thing that she's also crazy about.
Well, the thing is, I have the theory that no matter how good or bad the game is, you at least will have one banger on that game. Like, even Sonic Forces have a banger, which is Fist Bump, which, funny enough, is my favorite song in that game.
What's really funny about that specific game's soundtrack is a lot of people will say that whole soundtrack is shit.
Yeah.
Except for the main theme and maybe Infinite's theme. But I'm over here like, I can tell you what songs I find good, even among some of the classic stuff, because yeah, I'm a sucker for that type of music. Therefore, that's why I didn't find it annoying.
Yeah.
Like, Ghost Town, I think, is the best one of those. And like the first Eggman boss theme, that was really good. I just like the I just like how twangy it was.
I mean, I like soundtracks like that, but I have a really specific taste on video game soundtracks that can be used and listened outside of the games. Like,
Yeah.
I can grab any day of the week, any soundtrack of the games I already mentioned, and listen to them without playing the games. But with Sonic in specific, and Sonic Forces specifically, I consider the soundtrack good, but not good outside of the game. Like, they kind of fit some of the theme of the levels, but for me, they don't sound good, like, to listen outside of the game.
Yeah, it's like...
Aside of Fist Bump. Fist Bump is pretty clean.
It's like, if you were trying to listen to, like, Aqua Road outside of playing the game, you wouldn't get the same feel that it has while playing the game.
Right.
But that's like... That's like a different vibe altogether. It's like... You need to have the right vibe, I feel.
Ooh, good segue, thank you. Because the game I like the most in terms of soundtrack is just Sonic Unleashed. For me, Sonic Unleashed has the best soundtrack possible. Like, every single song hits hard, at least on me.
Now, okay, most people in this, like, so the Sonic fandom and me kind of have like a love-hate relationship. And most people call me crazy for hating literally every game that I've played. Which isn't really that true, because I've lightened up over the past 2 years about it. But when it comes to the soundtrack, I'm at that... When it comes to... It depends on the game, really. There are some games where I'm like, great soundtrack, meh kind of game.
Right.
However, the one people expect, where it's like, I can't really pinpoint a favorite soundtrack for that series. Because I have favorites in literally every game.
Yeah.
I think 06 has my most favorites because that soundtrack just strikes the right itch. Hell, even SA2 has some good tracks that I like, even though that's probably, along with Adventure 1, my least favorite in the series. But that's just mainly because I don't have a nostalgic attachment, I feel. That's on me. But nothing's gonna stop me from liking the soundtrack. And Endless Possibility, yeah, that's another song I really like.
Yeah.
But there's also like another song in that series that has gotten stuck in my head. That's now this game I think came out around the same time. What's your stance on the Secret Ring soundtrack?
I didn't hear it. I'm more of the Night of the Wind type of vibe, but aside of that, I didn't hear the Secret Ring.
Okay, because that one's my favorite.
Yeah, that
like,
song slaps hard.
Yeah,
goes
if I had
in.
to pick a favorite Sonic song, Night of the Wind was probably my favorite because
I can understand that. Yeah.
It's funny because my favorite element is lightning, but wind is my second favorite, so it's kind of fitting. Yeah. But then again, if like the other song I was alluding to is the Eraser Jin boss fight theme from it's from the same dude who did the Babylon Rogues theme.
Ooh.
And it's got a very... Okay, you know Coda, who did Persona 3. And I think Joseph's theme and JoJo.
It's the same Coda?
No, it's not... Well, yeah, okay. For Persona and JoJo, yes, it is the same Coda.
Ooh.
But Runnelby has the same kind of flow as Coda. And, like, when you hear It Has Come to This in Secret Rings, it radiates that, like, you don't have much time left. You're literally on death's door. Your enemy's in front of you. Kick ass. It's like, and it's got like that rap part that's really fucking good.
Ooh.
And like quickly going back to Babylon Rogues, because I briefly mentioned that.
Yeah.
That song, like, everybody knows everyone knows the Zero Gravity version of that. Like, I feel like everyone and their mother knows that version. But the one from Riders, instrumentally, I think has my favorite. Because it's got like this weird techno sort of beat to it.
I didn't think that much about the Rider series soundtrack, because when I hear something about Sonic Riders, aside of the Metal City theme on Riders 1, the other thing that comes to mind is Free, from the worst game on the Xbox at this point.
Yeah. Okay, Free Riders had a great soundtrack.
And it
However-
had potential.
However,
Had potential.
However, it is tied behind a horrible, horrible gimmick.
Yeah, well, the gimmick itself works, but not the
For the
not the
most
game.
part.
But not the game.
Yeah, it's like, if they were to re-release that game with just, I don't know, more traditional or even better controls.
Motion controls
Then-
on the Switch. That's
okay.
my point there.
Like, yeah, okay. That's actually what I was getting at. Like, people hated Skyward Sword for the same reason, because they thought the motion controls in that game didn't work, even though I thought they were fine. When the Switch release came out, they gave you an option to use a more traditional-ish control scheme by flicking the right stick to do your sword swing. So that way the motion control haters could still play the game, but not have to deal with the worst gimmick in the game. But they made the motion controls a little bit better at the same time. You have a way to, like... So the original way you would recalibrate the game's controls is to sit the Wii Remote face down and you just stare at the logo. It's like, okay, it's good. Now you just press the Y button on your Joy-Cons.
Right.
And it just resyncs it to wherever your Joy-Con's facing. It is a godsend. And I feel like if Free Riders had a similar sort of system, like, yeah, you can have traditional control options, but if you want to have motion controls, use the Ring Fit Ring for that. Like, there's like another usage for that right there.
Well,
it would work, because
you can
doesn't
apply
Free Riders have a similar system with that?
you can apply literally the same logic with the other peripheral that is on the 360 that is also known to be home of the worst Tony Hawk game.
Okay, good point. Very good point there, actually.
I just oh god! I just imagine Sonic Free Riders on that cursed board. That will, if that thing in the first place worked, that would be amazing. But
yeah, I feel like that would have been a great. It sounds like a great idea on paper, but in execution, it's just so laughably terrible.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's
God, it's. I only ever played Zero Gravity and Free Riders growing up. My back, yeah.
Oh,
I would not be able to play Free Riders. Like, Emily would have to literally drag me, clawing on the floor, screaming and kicking to play that game.
Would you play the
Which
Star
she
Wars
more than
Kinect?
likely would.
Would you play the Star Wars Kinect?
Okay, that depends. Do you find it good?
It has a rhythm game.
Maybe. Like, morbid curiosity. I'd probably play. Like,
Has parody songs, but with Star Wars characters like Han Solo.
oh my god, I knew you were gonna mention the Han Solo thing.
Yeah.
God, all those Star Wars-centric remixes are just... They're cringe,
Yeah.
but holy shit.
They're
Some
so
of them kind of
good.
bop, though. It's like, if you want a way to... I remember like, back when I streamed on YouTube, I jokingly played one of those songs in the background, and the copyright bot was confused for at least a year.
Hey, Layman. A little bit. Well, I don't know. You appeared one time on my chat when my first stream popped up, and then I never saw you here again. So you're
fucking
welcome.
love that emote. That's very similar to the emote that Emily will use all the time too, where it's just a little happy bee,
Wait.
which
where?
I believe it's like a Twitch global. Yeah, that one. It's just I fuck. Oh, they redid it.
There we go. And
Oh, they actually changed it.
there we go. Love that bees. Yeah.
The fucking alert. It's just the mouse like, yeah.
I should change the retire for a whip. Just imagine that rat popping up with a whoosh.
Yeah, it's just like, oh god, it's just the Johnny Test whip crack sound all over again. It's just whoosh.
Something like that, yeah. Oh shit. Well, my
god, what even was the original topic here?
My soundtrack was I think the fourth was I mentioned Sonic. Well, I still have one more, but I'm a little bit undecisive here because since I played Killer Instinct, I tend to love this soundtrack, but I know that it's just the 2013 version. The soundtrack for the older games is way different and hits way different too. But
I unfortunately have not heard a single Killer Instinct song.
Did you play?
So I'm sadly missing out.
Did you play Doom 2016?
A very small amount.
You know the soundtrack a little bit at least.
I know key songs from I knew two specific songs from Doom 2016 and Eternal, if that's what you mean.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the same composer, Mike Gordon, did the Killer Instinct 2016 soundtrack. And to be completely fair with you, it's his best work. Like, by far. For me, it just makes it, like, really good. Aside of Casey Edwards, which made nowadays my two favorite songs, which are Devil Trigger and Glory the Light.
Hell yeah!
Hell
yeah!
Those nowadays are my favorite songs from video games, like period, like at all time. But I cannot pick for my fifth position Killer Instinct because it's just one game. But
yeah, I feel that actually. To bring back the point to Bury the Light for a second.
Yeah.
Emily will know what I'm talking about here, but my friend Evan
Why?
and one of my own moderators, he actually made a remix of Bury the Light called Bury the Sleep.
Oh.
Where okay, so how it happened is there's another server we were both in, and we all started randomly singing an abridged version in text form of the song involving sleep. And hang on, if I can find it, I'll link it in chat. If you have that enabled,
I think I have it. If you don't, I don't, just send me the link.
Well, actually, yeah, I can just link it in the server. I'm a doodle and vibe with the stream. Better watch your back, boys. Oh god,
shit.
fan art incoming.
Yeah, let's go.
Hope you have an art tag ready.
No, I don't. Just tag me in. It's way easier. I don't want to... Well, here's the topic. I don't want, like, an art tag yet. Like, I think that it should be, like, for a little bit more growth later on. And I have to really look out for nobody using that tag aside of, well, the fan arts, you know? I
was pretty lucky with my tag, actually, because... who else? Like, I've been using the tag Alexiel Doodles forever, like since the old Colors Live days.
Oh.
And that, oh boy, the amount of that was just my everyday tag. Like everything I drew had that tag. Like hell, even my mascot had his own tag for a while, but then I just dropped it. Me and Emily even have our own tag, which I should probably revive because it's a cute tag, honestly. But, that tag has... Because I don't think there's anyone else on the internet who has the same username as me.
Well...
I mean, there's a few. There's probably a few.
They're close ones.
Yeah, they're always, when it comes to, that specific hashtag, on Twitter, I remember checking it to see if no one else had used it. No one else had used it. So I was like, okay, I'm stealing this. And... yeah, I should make a more simple one, but that one has, nostalgic attachment.
Well...
Now let me see if I can...
Now, For the 5th game, I was debating on including Crash or Spyro here. Like, I know those both series, like the back of my hand, but the one I know the most soundtrack is Crash, of course. He's technically one of my childhood games for a long time. Like, I grew up just playing CDR and Crash 3.
I found it.
Yeah. Can you link it?
There it is.
Oh shit.
But yeah, the Crash or Spyro is also a very beautiful soundtrack. Stuart Copeland is, I think, my favorite He's my favorite drummer just in general. Like, he's what inspired me to do that. And so, like, hearing his work on the Spyro soundtrack was amazing. And Crash is just a whole other beast.
Yeah. I mean, Crash and Spyro have a history together, but when it comes to soundtrack, they have pretty different styles. Like, one more fantasy, childish-like, and the other more cartoonish, more Looney Tunes, like, more throwing out all the Looney Tunes side.
Yeah, both are very excellent with the tone and feel that they're trying to portray.
In fact, I would recommend you to check the CTR Nitro Fuel soundtrack specifically, because
like every remix of those original songs is beautiful.
Oh, I love it. I wish I'm still holding holding the sign, begging for a PC port of that game. God damn it! Oh,
I'm honestly surprised it hasn't happened yet. You think it would have by now?
Yeah, man. Okay, here's a little story. I think it was 2015. They announced Uncharted 4, revealing it with a little bit of gameplay of the first. I think it's the first chapter or something. When Nathan was playing Crash in an arcade setting, like it was. Going for a high score and all of that.
Well, he was in his living room, actually.
Yeah, he was in part of the story in his living room with his wife, playing Crash, doing a bet. The thing. He was playing Crash. At that point I was thinking, why? Since Crash is an Activision IP, they are a third party. Why is Crash specifically on Uncharted? I know the reason why they didn't include Crash in the first place on the All-Stars Battle Royale, because money, but that was weird. Like, why is Crash there? And then I just suppose...
Yeah, that's the reason, like, Activision's the reason Crash or Spyro didn't make it in that game.
Yeah, and that is what snaps on me, saying, wait, this is a sign for something Crash-related. Then a few months later, in the E3, I think of 2016, if I recall correctly.
That sounds about right.
The CEO of PlayStation appears with the shadow of Crash, revealing that supposedly Crash is getting history remakes. And reveals Crash on Skylanders Imagineers.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna be real with you.
Mm-hmm.
I found Crash's inclusion, like, as someone who despises Skylanders with a burning passion for what they did to my boy Spyro.
Ooh.
I will say that I love his design.
Yeah, it fits, which is funny.
Like Crash actually looks like he belongs in that universe to an extent. However, what I cannot forgive is giving him a stereotypical Australian accent in the show.
That's what I was about to bring out. They learned from the feedback on that show. They learned from the feedback.
It's like the old Bubsy cartoon, right? Where it's like, he would have worked better as a cartoon rather than a video game.
Right.
But at the same time, he was insufferably annoying, and it didn't help that he was voiced by Rob Paulson. Like, nowadays, yeah, I shit you not. Like, if I could, literally, everyone who has voiced Bubsy have either said they loved or hated the character.
Well,
like, Lonnie Manella, I think, liked playing the character. Rob Paulson enjoyed playing the character. Vic Mignogna, who I think is still voicing him, like, he had fun with that character. Like holy shit.
How is
like,
he still alive? That's my question. How is he still alive?
Who, Bubsy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he just randomly came back. Like, people memed him back into existence. It was a weird time to be had.
Where's Earthworm Jim, goddammit?
Yeah, where's Earthworm Jim? Okay, well, then again, the creator's kind of a tool, but he doesn't own the rights to Earthworm Jim anymore, so he has no say in the matter. Bring back Jim, damn it!
He has literally one of the best first stages theme there is. Like, outside of Sonic, in the Sonic 1. He's iconic, goddammit. Whatever. I'm going with Crash. It has a really good soundtrack overall on all of the games.
Yeah, Crash is... Like, honestly, if I had to pick between my two children like that, I would be like, how the fuck would I choose? Like,
Yeah.
I would be cheap as hell and go with both on that one.
Yeah,
Like,
but
if I had to choose between the two. But
if I'm being honest with
you have more nostalgic attachment to Crash, therefore it
No.
makes more sense.
I have attachments to Spyro 2. One of the first games I completed 100% was literally just Spyro 2 and Spyro 3. But
Oh, for me it was Spyro 1. That was like my first video game, actually.
ooh, nah, I have attachment for Crash. Yeah, the first game I had it was Crash 3. But the thing with Spyro is, if you have to count the other games, like the PS2 era, the ones that nobody talks about, you don't have a really good soundtrack, or at least not a good balance of good soundtrack over those. Instead of Crash, well, aside of To Insanity and Tag Team Racing, which are just like personal opinions on that matter because of the a cappella group Spyromouth, you have way better soundtrack on the Crash series than the Spyro series, at least in my opinion, of course.
I mean, honestly, I agree with that. Like, besides the first three Spyros, Enter the Dragonfly onward was just...
Nah.
You had something and then you lost it. Hero's Tale had a decent soundtrack, but it still didn't have the same energy that Stuart Copeland brought to the first three.
Spyro
And then you have...
Legends.
Yeah, and then you have the Legend series, which I will admit was okay in some parts.
Yeah, I admit,
but at the same time...
I like the tone. I like going for a reboot on a serious tone for a cartoon character sometimes can be a good idea, and sometimes don't. Most of the time don't, but I consider the style of those games looking like they do really good. Like, it's a fantasy setting. It's a little bit generic by nowadays standards, but back then it was pretty good, even for a PS2 game.
It was very weird. Speaking on those three games for just a second, it was so weird in each of those games, Sparks having a different voice.
Oh yeah.
Like, you go from David Spade to Billy West to I forget who the third guy is.
Wasn't like the guy who played Luke Skywalker? Mark Hamill? Wasn't Mark Hamill voicing Sparks one time?
No, I don't think he ever voiced Sparks. I could be very wrong on that. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, there's some characters he doesn't remember playing, like going back to the Majima point from earlier.
Wait,
but like,
oh, that's right, he played Majima.
Yeah, he was the original Majima, and like.
Are you kidding me? I was just thinking about when a new Yakuza game with featured Majima at some point has an English dub, I wanted the voice of Joker, of the cartoon Joker, voicing Majima, and he already did. Oh shit!
Yeah, in the original PS2 version, when you first meet him, he's like, it's Kazuma Kiryu-chan.
Oh.
And then he like beats the dude with the umbrella. He's like, dumb! Stupid!
Alright, I forgot.
And it's just like, he does not remember that role at all.
Yeah.
And I find it kind of hilarious.
I understand why.
Yeah, and like, you have Kiryu's English voice who actually came back.
Oh yeah.
Like, and he still sounds really fucking good. Mm-hmm. And then you have Majima with, like I said, Matt Mercer, who honestly you can't go wrong with his either. Like, his Majima is like the good amounts of calm but crazy.
Oh yeah. the good
Because
stuff.
because Majima's more laid back in 7.
Yeah, well,
So he's like,
yeah, in Majima in general after Yakuza, I think Kiwami 2, which was his big role, he was pretty laid down. Well, aside of 3, which he just rides a truck into the government, but that's another stuff.
yeah,
But the thing is, yeah, he's way laid down since something happened on 6 that cannot be mentioned.
yeah.
But the thing is, going back to Crash PS2 era, I still think that the soundtrack for the Titans games are kinda good. Like, I know those games are completely different from the Crash formula and sometimes are boring. Like, I played 100% Crash of the Titans once, and I don't want to play it anymore. Like, at all. But I still have a place for the soundtrack, which is really good. I don't know about you. What do you think about those?
The Titans games?
Yeah.
Well, the only one I played in full was Mind Over Mutant, and that one is that's the one where if somebody was to ask, like, hey, what's your thoughts on this game? I'll be like, I don't like this one.
Oh shit.
But, like,
Hey.
Mind Over Mutants I did not like. However, Titans I enjoyed.
Welcome, table. Yeah.
The fucking mouse. I love that picture so much. It's just like,
Yeah. And you still didn't saw the others. But hey, what else? Well,
I mean, I'll watch the VOD back later just to see what the alerts I missed look like.
no, they're all the same. They are all follow alerts.
Ah.
But you still need to see the others, like when that happens someday. But still, what else? Do you mind if we took a little bit of a break here?
Sure, I don't mind.
Yeah. Give me 5 minutes. We'll be right back.
Yeah, I need to go get water.
Yeah, me too. See you in a few minutes. There we go. Alright, so let's continue with. Oh shit.
No, where were we?
I think we ended up with the soundtrack. Now, what else? Oh yeah, is there any multiplayer games you played lately?
Oh, multiplayer.
Yeah.
I think the last multiplayer thing I even played was when all of us were playing Overwatch.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Like, if that counts.
Yeah, counts because it's a multiplayer game at the end of the day.
Well, actually, nope, that's a lie. I think the last thing I played online, or multiplayer-wise, was Halo. Like, when it first came out.
Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, in my case, I usually play online a few times if I find some friends on. But lately I've been playing a lot of Dead by Daylight again. Like online. If you want an honest opinion on that game, if you want to play it, make sure you have at least one friend with you. Like, that game playing solo can be harsh. Like,
Yeah, I hear it's very annoying to play by yourself.
yeah, because it's not annoying in the gameplay. The gameplay is fun. You have Nemesis, for Christ's sake, there. It's fun.
Oh yeah, I forgot they added the Resident Evil stuff recently.
Not just Resident Evil. You have Pyramid Head there. You have...
Oh yeah, the Silent Hill shit too.
You have the girl from The Ring, Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers. You have a lot of... Yeah, you have a lot of, like, terror-related characters that are so cool. And some are fun to play, some not. But at the end of the day, they're cool. Like, they're fun. But my problem with that game is... only multiplayer I play is either with my sisters or driving friends up the wall with Mario Kart. Oh. Well, I would like to try someday on Mario Kart if I somehow manage to get a Switch with online in this country, but aside of the point, what I was saying on Dead by Daylight is, when you... Sounds about right when it comes to Mario Kart, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Mario Kart is the... Like, people say it's like the ultimate friendship-destroying game along with Mario Party.
Nah.
Yeah. Dokapon Kingdom would like to have a word with you.
No, Mario Party itself wants to have a word with you. Like, if you literally say the words friendship destroyer, the first thing that comes to mind is literally Mario Party. You have like no excuse on that. You can have your niche game, party game, whatever. Like, let's say Power Stone, and still
Power Stone's fun though. Like,
yeah, Power Stone is super fun. Like
Power Stone,
fun.
I don't think. Actually, speaking of Power Stone, the first time I ever played a game similar to that, it was a Power Stone clone. I don't think this was like a point that you were gonna bring up at some point, like in terms of like favorite manga and shit. But because this is like a video game centric thing.
Yeah,
but this is a video game based on a manga.
It works,
So-
yeah.
So yeah, segueing into this, my favorite manga is Rave Master by Hiro Mashima. There is a Power Stone clone on the GameCube of Rave Master. It tries to adapt the story very weirdly, but the gameplay is literally just Power Stone. And that was like the first time I ever played a game similar to it until the PSP collection, where I actually got to play it, and I was like, wow, they should port this to other systems. This is really fun. Like, playing this online would be great.
Oh, yeah.
Like, a game like that online is literally... Like, people say, oh, it's a disaster waiting to happen. Nah! I feel like it would work.
Yeah.
Like, fun would be had. Dokapon would also be really fun online, because that game is sadly lost on the PS2 and Wii.
Well, that brings a really good topic, which are really unknown games that are literally lost in the past. That game, for example, is one, but I recently discovered that the artists that make the design for K-Dash on King of Fighters, for example, made a game named Fallen Angel. The Fallen Angel, specifically. And that...
I've heard of that.
Yeah, that game looks crazy. Like...
What? Wait, what system was it for?
I think it's the Neo Geo, but I don't know. Maybe it was an arcade game. But the thing is, that game specifically has, like, some characters ported directly into the design of Maxima and K-Dash on King of Fighters, but also has some really wacky characters that I hope someday, at least, or a re-release of that game, or in a King of Fighters game, those characters come back. There's literally a one-handed samurai named Carlos. What else do you want? It's...
God, I love that. Oh, hang on, somebody's pinging me on Discord.
Oh, alright. Anyhow...
Oh, hell yeah!
What happened?
So I mentioned somebody by the name of Masayanella earlier, who is a Let's Player and fellow castmate in a voiceover project. She's starting a new LP today of Kirby 64.
Ooh, let's go!
That is a game I need to actually play. Emily keeps hounding me to actually play it.
Well...
Because I've only ever played a small amount of it.
Oh yeah, I should do the same too. There's a lot of 64 games I need to play too.
Like after I finish Klonoa Heroes on game clearing, I need to actually, because that's the next game on the list. So like I'll have an excuse to finally play it. Actually, speaking of game clearing and Klonoa, which was a series that was kind of lost to time before recently. And since he's in chat, I can point this out.
Come on.
I find it really funny that me and Table both start a game clearing game of a Klonoa game.
What?
For me, it's one that I've never played, which was Klonoa Heroes, and for him, it's his first, being Empire of Dreams, and I find that coincidence to be really funny. Like, we did it like 2 days apart. My sister actually beat Klonoa in one day.
Well,
Oh.
that's possible, yeah. If
Yeah,
I
that
feel,
game is.
If I feel like doing like a retro let's play for a few hours, I'm pretty confident on my ability on Crash 1 that I can beat it 100% on one sitting, like 4 hours maybe more, but I don't know. I may be bragging a lot here, but still.
Well, that just proves how much of a big fan you are of Crash Bandicoot. Like,
Yeah.
that's not being overconfident or like stroking your own ego. You just, I mean, you're talking yourself up, but you're able to back it up.
I think I'm able to back it up, yeah.
Because Crash 1 is a difficult game, sure,
Yeah.
but it's also easy to cheese and or learn the ropes of.
Yeah, like...
So it's like, once you know the insides and outs, it's like second nature.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a pretty experienced platformer type of player. Like, there is an indie game called Guacamelee that had, at this point in age, 2 entries on the series. And I have all of the entries, like the original Guacamelee and the new re-release of the first game and the second game.
Oh yeah, Guacamelee is great.
Yeah, and I completed 100% both. No kidding.
Oh, actually, yeah. Emily just reminded me. A game that was lost to time before its eventual re-releases was Ty the Tasmanian Tiger,
Oh!
which is another great game.
Oh, you reminded me, the Looney Tunes games! Those are great!
Yeah.
Like Bugs Bunny Lost in
wait,
Time, the Taz and Bugs game, the racing game even. The racing game looks weird, but still is fun. Pick it up.
What's really funny is I don't think I've ever played a Looney Tunes game, which is funny, seeing as how I grew up on a lot of those games.
In fact,
And very similar to Looney Tunes, these are games like I wanted to have a whole stream dedicated to just nothing but the old and obscure Tom and Jerry games.
oh, wait to try the PS1 game. That shit is weird. Ooh.
All the games that I had listed, I had the one on the Game Boy Color, I had the one on the Super Nintendo, the Master... Well, actually, there wasn't one on Super Nintendo. I had the one on... Okay, it was like... I had the one on the Game Boy, the one on the N64, I have the GameCube one somewhere. I have the Master System version, as well as its prototypes. Like, I have all that shit on lockdown. But around that time, I was having major tech issues. Like, my computer wasn't working at all around that point. Like, it was kaput for at least a week, and the capture cards weren't working either. So I sadly had to cancel it. Maybe one day I'll go back to that. But actually, wait, hang on. We were still on the topic of old obscure games that haven't been re-released.
Yep.
There's a Super Nintendo game very similar to Zelda 2 called what was it called? Magical Poppin', I think's what it's called.
Oh, for a second I thought you will mention the prototype for the... How is it? The Banjo-Kazooie type of game. Because
Project Dream.
Yeah, there was a prototype of Banjo-Kazooie for the NES, and it was completely different.
Well, yeah, SNES, but yeah, it was like... I remember that being... I remember always wanting to play that because it looked interesting.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling... Actually, speaking of rare prototype stuff that I hope we get to play one day, 12 Tales Conquer 64 is definitely up there.
Oh...
Same with the original Earthbound 64. Like, if those games somehow, like, find their way out into the open, then I will be a very happy boy. Hell, if Dinosaur Planet could do it, so can those two.
Man, they're reviving a lot of IPs lately. If you think about it, like even I don't know, but I remember seeing something about Gex in 2022, which is funny.
Oh yeah, the new trademarks. Right.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Fucking, I keep forgetting Square owns the rights to him.
Yeah. Well,
God, it's so weird to think about.
You forget a lot of IPs from Square, since Square is most centric on either nowadays Marvel IPs or Final Fantasy, which is
True.
Or Nier Automata in some weird cases.
Or Tomb Raider.
Well, not lately. Tomb Raider, not lately.
Yeah, not lately, because I think that series they were doing is done.
Yeah, I think it's done. Yeah, the trilogy.
I don't know. I have the whole trilogy. I just haven't played the other two.
I need to play the other two.
I don't know if it.
Well, we are on the same
I don't know
point.
if it concluded.
We're on the same point. I need to play those two. Oh, those other two. I have it on Epic now that I think about it, the whole collection. But the thing is, another IP I think they need to revive is Bloody Roar. I mean,
Bloody Roar?
Yeah,
that sounds really. Oh yeah, I remember now.
Fighting game.
That's on
PS1.
That's coming in that new. Is it a Capcom game?
No, it was a Hudson Software game.
Hudson right.
And to be completely fair with you, I still need to play the other games, but the PS1, both games are so cool. Like, I like the idea, the transformation, and the combat. I love it. I really do, and I wish someday they bring back Bloody Roar. They're reviving all the IPs that are most of these days unknown, which, to be completely fair with you, I understand the point of some businesses that don't want to revive an old as fuck mascot because they know there is no public that nowadays will appreciate it, aside of the hardcore fans that are there. But
yeah, that's the reason. That's the main reason why Rare never wanted to bring back Banjo.
That due and to the team, because the team wanted to work on other things aside.
Yeah, the team was very passionate about Sea of Thieves, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And they wanted to just focus on that, and they had no desire to bring back Banjo. Mm-hmm. But fans of Smash Brothers were like, hey, we want Banjo! And the head of Xbox was like, yo, I want Banjo and Smash. And Nintendo was like, okay, well, we'll see what we can do. And then years later it happened.
Oh.
So, like, the demand is there again, but Rare themselves don't want to do it. However, Toys for Bob has expressed interest in wanting to do it. And since they are now owned by Microsoft to an extent, they have nothing was stopping them from doing it before, but now they have no excuse if they ever want to do it, like, actually. So if there is a demand for people like Banjo, Conquer,
I mean,
like old IPs, they can come back.
Besides, they have the money now to do the proper marketing to revive those two. Like, reboot them if necessary, but, well, they need a reboot after Butts and Nuts, but still.
Yeah, that's what happened with most old mascot platformers. Klonoa being a perfect example here. Those games were not advertised very well, which is why he kind of,
passed out,
dormant for a while.
Well, yeah, the same happened to a lot of mascots if we think about it. Like, for example, the first Gex game was on a practically dead console or a bad sold one, and they have to literally pull the brakes and put the next Gex game on a PS1 so it can sell well. Same, I think, happened with Tomba. I think it is.
I don't recall that happening with Tomba, though.
Well, but the point is, there are some old characters that, thanks to poor marketing or maybe just not enough marketing, they passed out unknown. Like, they are like classics, but on the other side, like more obscure. That's what I mean.
Yeah, and then you have with some of these revivals that I've been seeing, like the reason I brought up Klonoa is the main reason his series didn't work out is ever since the second game, sales had dwindled until the Wii remake came out, and then people were like, yeah, we don't like this. And ever since then, he kind of became like he was more of a sleeper hit, where over time, people were like finding the series, really liking it. So that's why when the revival finally came through, there was an overbearing amount of support and recognition. Like, people you thought were not interested, were like, holy shit, I've been waiting for this for years. And I became a fan of that series back in 2011.
I've
been waiting I had been waiting since then because I knew one day it would happen. And I'm glad that day finally happened, and I'm glad that they're actually marketing him properly. Maybe not in the States, but everywhere. Like in the States, I've seen a few adverts here and there. But like the main reason they did this was 25th anniversary. But the original creator is behind the helm. The original Klonoa Works team is behind the helm, and they've been disbanded since Klonoa Heroes came out, which was the last game they worked on before that team disbanded. Namco or Bandai Namco is listening for once and are properly marketing it, because like all their other IPs are properly marketed to an extent.
Well,
so yeah,
kinda, because Bandai Namco, they have the IPs of all these popular anime characters, and they might need to get all the resources of marketing on those games. If
I recall, I think Tales of Arise wasn't marketed at all, barely any, and it still sold pretty well because it's part of a very established, popular IP.
Yeah,
but
it's a well-known
that's
franchise.
not fair to use a consistently good selling IP to one that barely was a blip on their radar.
Anyhow, speaking of Bandai Namco, can you imagine a new installment of the Project Zone series? Like, I know they have 2 games, but can you imagine a third? How ballistic that shit will be?
Honestly, yeah. I'm surprised they haven't done it.
Well, they haven't done it because it's complicated. I think it's a complicated relationship between Bandai Namco and Sega.
Yeah, it was.
And Tecmo.
From what I understand, Sega and Tecmo were like at heads during development, and Bandai was just trying to basically, they were trying to play the referee, and not make sure nobody stepped on each other's toes. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case, and Tecmo was like, yeah, I don't want to be involved. So I can see a third cross-zone game happening, just without the Tecmo stuff.
Oh yeah.
However, if it's a joint ownership between Bandai and Tecmo, that's a different story. But again, it would be up to Tecmo if they want to do that stuff or not. Now, I can imagine Konami getting in on the mix too, because they have some IPs they could probably spare for a third cross-zone game if needed, like bring in some Metal Gear, possibly.
Well,
they don't own Metal Slug, that's SNK. But actually, SNK could also be put on the mix too.
In fact, I think SNK fits more than Konami. If you think about it, aside of Yakuza from Sega, all the IPs they have are kind of in a similar tone. And
it's like
if you bring
they're all similar in their own ways.
Yeah, if you bring the cartoonish / anime style of SNK to the mix, they fit like a gambler. Like, they fit really well there. Like, you can have Kyo, Ryu, and Jin Kazama on the same team, doing whatever the RPG stuff they want to do, or even in a fighting game. That in a tag team fighting game of those 3 companies will be the best decision to revive that series. To be completely fair with you.
The predecessor of the Crosszone series on the PS2 that never came out over here, it featured a lot of characters that would come back for Crosszone, but then some that were just mysteriously missing. Funnily enough, Klonoa and Gantz were featured, and it's like you had a few platformer characters in there too. Like, okay, one of them played like a typical run and gun, but it was like it worked. And of course, it was their Klonoa Heroes counterpart, because that was the game that was out at the time. So they pulled movesets from that. But it's like, if I feel if that game ever got a proper English release, maybe the demand would be there. However, due to the expired rights of a few of the characters featured in that game, I don't see it happening anytime soon.
In fact, I think the Yakuza characters will be out, now that I think about it, since the Yakuza creator doesn't want Kiryu or Majima hitting women, But my idea with that is, well, instead of a fighting game, they need to stay with the RPG if they want those characters. there, and they sure need them since they are technically still mainstream. Maybe you can change Kiryu and Majima for the Judgment protagonist and Ichiban, for example.
Yeah, like, well, Ichiban also I don't think would hit a woman, would he?
No, that's what I'm saying. If they stay with the RPG and want the Yakuza series to be there, they most likely will pick the newer characters or the most recent popular characters, which are Ichiban and the protagonist of Judgment.
Yeah, because I can see Tak working in Cross Zone.
Yeah.
Because like he's pretty much like a hodgepodge of all the other Yakuza protags just rolled together. Like you have like I need to actually play Judgment. Like that game is fun.
Yeah, Judgment, it's literally the previous gameplay
it's
style
just
of Yakuza,
but more refined, I feel.
Yeah, it's the brawler style of Yakuza back. Like, and now Yakuza is known as an RPG series. They confirmed that. They want to transform Yakuza into an RPG from Yakuza Like a Dragon onwards. And they will still make the same gameplay, but for Judgment, which I think it's smart.
Honestly, like, I'm glad they went with that approach because every time a developer reinvents the wheel for a franchise, most people get sick of it. Like the aforementioned Sonic franchise. They have reinvented the gameplay loop so many times that people are sick of it. Like now they're trying the whole segmented open world approach, supposedly, and people are annoyed to an extent that it's probably not going to be good, the world looks empty, blah, blah, blah. But that's not important. They're trying to shake things up and see what works.
Yeah, I mean...
The Yakuza devs tried an RPG, people loved it, and were like, okay, we'll keep this for the Yakuza. But what about the people that like the brawler style? It's okay, we got a new IP that'll scratch that itch.
Well,
it's like...
For the release of Yakuza Like a Dragon, they already had Judgment as a side series.
Well, yeah, Judgment was already out. Yeah, it was like a side story.
Hold on. I want to fact check that. Judgment 1.
Yeah, I can confirm with Table on this that I was watching him play Lost Judgment.
Yeah, that's the last.
I think when it first came out, and like both me and Emily were having the times of our lives just watching all the crazy shit, and because like the only Yakuza games I had played were 0 and Kiwami 1, so I needed more of that itch in my life, and I needed it was the best. And
I think by the time the Kiwami games came out, the first Judgment came out on PS4.
Yeah.
Yeah, December 15, 2018 on Japan.
Yeah, so it was well established to be like a side story / just little different thing.
Yeah.
And it worked. It sold great. And then they were like, oh, the new Yakuza is going to be an RPG. People were unsure at first, but then they played it and was like, oh my god, this is great.
Well, that's how it starts. When you change drastically the gameplay of a series already established, it of course will let people unsure. But
yeah, like and I'm not saying this to call him out, but I know Table played a little bit of Like a Dragon, and I don't remember exactly what he said he didn't like about it, but he did get like stopped at a good point, like for a good while. And like, it was like that one RPG trope that he didn't like or something. I don't remember exactly what you said, but it's very
grindy?
Was it grindy? It might have been grindy. I don't know.
I mean, for what I know, it's kind of like a traditional RPG, so I imagine the difficulty will be like that, grindy as fuck.
Yeah, but I could also imagine if it was a little handholdy, which I know he also doesn't like to an extent.
Well...
I could be wrong on that, though.
I mean, for the first RPG jump in the Yakuza series, I will expect that. Like, your main series fans are, like, so used for after, like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8.
Oh, the main character dies, causes a game over. Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh.
That was what made him stop, yeah. that kind of trope aggravates me too. But
Wait, what the fuck? Why? I mean, what? No.
that sound okay.
Oh,
that sounds like something.
Yeah. It's right because that happens on other RPGs. If you, for example, play the Persona series, that no matter what game is, you get a game over if your character dies, like the main protagonist, the one you cannot replace on the team.
It is very annoying, and sometimes it's just enough to make me stop if it's like happening too often. However,
same.
there are some games that do it right, but it's very weird. Earthbound is a good example, but it's like the main character can still die.
Yeah.
It's just that you're very limited on what you can do in the overworld if Ness is dead. Like, for example, let's say everybody in your party dies except Pooh. And you have to go around and for some reason, Pooh can't... this is like an odd glitch that happened with me, but every time I would play through Earthbound and I had everybody in my party die except Pooh or Jeff, they could not talk to people at all because... I don't know, it was just a weird bug. It's like... It was so weird! Persona, I didn't mind it because it was around for a while. In Yakuza, I did not like.
Oh yeah,
most likely in 8 they'll fix that.
I mean, Yakuza Like a Dragon, like I said before, was literally not the 8th game of the series, if not at least the 10th on the whole series, and the first one to be an RPG. You're, of course, waiting for a slap in the face for the change of gameplay that drastic.
I grinded Ness to be a god. You don't really need to grind Ness to be a god, considering the game will do that for you near the end.
But still.
Yeah, but I mean, still, as much as I don't like grinding in an RPG, sometimes if I think it's going to be necessary for the area up ahead, I will usually go out of my way to do it. But at the same time, though, if I'm having fun doing it, then I don't mind it. If it's a chore, then it's not fun. Like from the small amount of Like a Dragon I played, I felt it was like I like what I played. And yeah, I do find the main character dying, you get a whole game over shit to be annoying. But once I got past that little hurdle, I found more enjoyment. And then my PS4 died. So I wasn't able to ever finish it.
Oh, that hurts a lot. Oh.
Yeah, when a console dies on me mid-playthrough, it is the worst. It has happened more times than I'd like to admit. Like, Emily and Table can tell you, like, every time I bring up the 3DS, I always bring up 2 specific games that I'm mad I never got to finish. That being Ever Oasis and Monster Hunter Stories. Which, funny thing about Monster Hunter Stories, I learned recently, it's using the same game engine that Mega Man Legends 3 would have came out on.
Oh!
And that just makes me want that game even more.
Oh, no.
At least that engine was getting put to use, and apparently Monster Hunter Stories 2 is using a more refined version of the same engine. Which means if Legends 3 ever became a thing again, it would be coming to Switch, probably.
Oh, God.
Which, honestly...
will be cool.
I hope
Super
that game would be multiplat if it did come out, like, ever come back, because more people deserve the Legend series. It, like...
At least a re-release.
Yeah. Like, yeah, if... But, no, it's a classic PlayStation series. It should stay on PlayStation. Hey, single releases be damned. Let that shit be multiplat.
Yeah, true. At least...
It's like,
if you want
give everyone a slice of the pie.
Yeah, if you want the exclusivity, you can have it, but it will last a year. They want profit at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's like, hell, even the Klonoa collections, they're only staying exclusive, I think, for a few months. I mean, it's not confirmed, but they are confirmed to be Switch exclusive for a good while. Because, you know, it was Nintendo that announced them.
Oh, yeah.
So they probably put, like, stock into the remakes. But at the same time, Bandai Namco probably was like, well, these other versions probably won't be done by the time to Switch, because the Switch being a slightly, like, from what I hear, it's easier to develop on Switch, depending on the game, compared to the other consoles. I don't know how right that claim is. So I would imagine the Switch version would take no effort to, like, fine-tune and push out the door.
Yeah.
While the PS4, Xbox, and PC versions, there's going to be all these checklists that people will want, like, I want all this feature-wise. I want, like, the PC version probably would be the last one to ever release.
In fact,
because,
no,
you know,
I think...
stability and all that.
Well, usually that will be the case, but sometimes if you are working on a PC from the start, that wouldn't be an issue, but I don't know.
Well, yeah, every game is developed on a PC from the start. That is true.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like,
yeah,
from what I understand, PC development is a fucking nightmare. And yeah, I saw what Table said. Yeah, Mega Man 64 is a thing, but Legends 2 never came out on that. So it is still exclusive to PS1.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But I did hear Mega Man 64 wasn't that great, but that's the version I grew up with, so I'm biased to that.
Well, I'm not a big fan of the tank controls in general of that version, but I don't know. I think both play the same.
Once you get used to it, it's actually pretty fun. It, like, there's like a specific way you can set up your controls to make it more fun. But most Mega Man players like to use default controls for some fucking reason.
Who knows?
But there's nothing wrong with that. That usually mean, like, I'm mostly calling out the X fans with this because, you know, like, most people will have, like, the weird claw grip. Like, you'll have shoot on X, you'll have your dash on A. Some people will just put that bitch on a shoulder button. But I only do that if I'm playing the GameCube collection. Because the X games did come out on GameCube and PS2 in the original X collection. But from what I've heard, that collection was very people didn't like the GameCube version because it had a weird green tint. But I never noticed it.
Huh.
But yeah, the controls are also a little bit weird because GameCube form factor's a lot to get used to with that game. Or those games. But at the same time, they're both equal in performance, I feel. Like, they were natively ported to the systems, which the Legacy Collection did not do.
Yeah, the Legacy Collection wasn't like the old Sega Genesis Collection that was just an emulated pack of ROMs.
No, the Legacy Collection is mostly emulating.
Oh, right.
Like, I think the only games that aren't emulated are X7 and 8. Because they had to at least fix a few issues with those games. But I could also be wrong. They could just be using a texture pack or something. But, like, a collection from, like, 2003. You have that that was around 2004 or 5. That collection comes out, and you have X1 through 3 with no slowdown. They're fluid. They still play great. And then you have X4, 5, and 6. Same things apply. And it's like, there are some transparency issues, but other than that, it's like a solid re-release. And then you have the Legacy Collections, which are riddled with input delay. Sometimes the games will just randomly crash. And yeah, just other issues. But I never played the Legacy Collection, so I have no right to say on that matter.
Yeah. Speaking of collections, now that I think about it, I think best release of collection games in general lately was the Phoenix Wright collection.
Yes, collections like that are great.
Because those are technically remakes, or more polished versions of the original games.
Well, okay, remaster would have been the better term, because they redraw all the sprites and fix a few issues. Greatest Attorney, however, still has typos when they were translating that. But that's a different game entirely. That's a whole different collection.
Yeah. But still.
But yeah, they're great.
I played a little bit of
like,
the first 2 acts of the first game, but I'm not past that still. I need to replay that now that I think about it.
Yeah, I need to actually sit down and play the series myself. Like, I've been in a few live dubs for the series, like Ace Attorney 1, 2, and Great Ace Attorney, respectively. But those were very... Uh-oh.
What?
Oh, I thought Discord died on me for a second. But it was like... I don't know. It's... The third game is completely blind to me, so I'd probably go in and play that one myself. Because there is, like, the same people that I did, like, Ace Attorney 1 and 2 with, they're also doing 3, but I'm not in that one. I'm probably not going to be in that one. So, I would have all the time in the world to just play it on my own and have fun with it. While they do their own thing. Great Ace Attorney, though, I was already along for the ride on that one.
Yeah. I mean...
But
I still need to literally just play some of the games because I downloaded the collection to try it out and see what it looks like, and it looks great. I have to admit, it looks really good. And I wasn't expecting this much in Ace Attorney specifically, but I think it's necessary since they were all handheld games from the DS era.
yeah, from like you take all these GBA and DS games, and like you're bringing them to like. It's also amazing how well polished those games are too.
Yeah.
Like, there's still typos here or there, but that's like a series staple at this point. And like they perform well, they still play well, they look phenomenal. Like the redrawn sprites are like a great thing to look at. Like, yeah, the original sprites still have their charm, but the redrawn sprites, oh boy.
Oh.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah. Shoot.
Like it makes my little artist soul happy.
Yeah, I love the art style. That's why I wanted to play it in the first place. Aside of Marvel vs. Capcom 3, though. Aside of that.
God, if that game ever got a re-release,
it has. Technically.
I mean, on like everything else, because wait, is it on PS4?
Yeah, they re-released that when Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite was announced.
And yet we never got a Switch version. I would have bought that shit.
Well, I wish for that, but still, the game still can be brought on every other platform. PS4, PS5,
honestly,
Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because it's. I mean, I could get it on PC, but there's no guarantee it'll even work because some of those, like some games from that era, won't even launch.
Yeah, PS3 era sometimes can be rough in graphics and performance.
Well, no, that's not what I mean. Like, depending on a game, like if I buy and download a game and then it's like, hey, installing was a little weird. Maybe installing it will fix it. And I'm like, I'm not going through like a 3-hour download just to play a game for like a few minutes to gauge the feel.
Oh,
it's like
God, yeah.
It's like for Marvel 3, I could do that because that will not. Like that's the one game where I can kick people's ass with my 3 favorite Capcom characters that I'm totally not biased about. That people aren't angry to see online.
Wait. There's people angry to see Amaterasu there? What the fuck?
You would be surprised how angry people get when you see an Amaterasu, Virgil, and Zero on your team.
Oh, Virgil! Yeah, now I get it.
I'm a filthy Virgil main and I'm proud. But sometimes I switch him out for Beautiful Joe because Hinchin a go-go, motherfucker.
You could say you're motivated every time you play a ranked.
God. Next time, if I ever go to an MVC3 tournament and like I come out of retirement for that game, I need to just have the backing track of Bury the Light, like fucking WWE type shit. Just like sparks fly and shit. Like I walk up on the venue with my controller or fight stick, whatever the fuck I used to use, and it'd just be like in the background, I am the storm that is a That shit would be, or they would just blaze Rising Sun or some shit. I don't know. Tommy was my main in that game, primarily.
When you win, you need to do that. When you win, just make people
Honestly,
salty if Virgil win. Like, there are people like celebrating shit like that.
Instead of just turning over and saying "shake my hand," I'm just gonna like smugly go, "Where's your motivation?"
Nah.
that would piss him off.
Oh shit. Yeah.
That would be the ultimate salt in the wound.
Yeah, that would be sick. That would be
Actually,
painful.
that does kind of remind me of the last Smash tournament I ever played. I went up against a Marth player who got so mad he broke a TV.
Oh shit.
And it was all because I beat him with quote-unquote low-tier characters.
Ness? No, maybe Lucas?
Yeah, Lucas, Roy, and Toon Link were who I was using in that set.
Oof.
Because they allowed us to pick 3 characters, but 2 for a specific set. So set 1, I had Lucas and Toon Link. He's like, bring out the Roy. I must fight a real swordsman. Like he talked like that. This is how fucking serious and
edgy,
douchey this type of dude was.
Yeah.
And like, he's like, you're beating me with low tiers? That's impossible. I'm the best Marth player in my state. It's like,
fucking Shadow the Hedgehog looking bitch. What the fuck?
It's like, yeah, because all of Georgia has 1 Marth player. Yeah, sure. All right, buddy.
Shit.
It's like.
Yeah.
I assume the dude's from Georgia. It wouldn't be too unlikely,
Keeping your
considering
clout.
where the tournament was. But
Oh shit.
it was very. Actually, wait, the tournament was in Texas, if I remember correctly. So you got a whole cast of characters there.
Oh
but,
shit.
So like that, nothing against Texas. There was just weird people at that venue, and so we run the set. I look at him, and he looks at me. It's like, that was a cheap shot. Bring out your best character. And Roy was arguably my best character, and I beat him with no issue because he got overconfident. That was his first mistake. And he tried all these advanced techniques that honestly do not honestly save your ass like you think they should. Like, it's like, oh my god, wave landing's not saving me. However will I do? Like, bro, I've dealt with people like you since the Brawl days. Get on my level. It's like competitive wannabes. Like, I'm not even a competitive player. Like, yeah, I'll play with the rule set because, like, the items kind of distract me a little bit, not gonna lie. It depends on the items, really.
Yeah.
But it's like, beating him was so fucking funny. And I just look up at him. He gets so mad, he throws his controller, shattering it, breaking the TV, and just goes like, I forget what he yells exactly, but he yelled something at me that was just so out of left field.
Oof.
And all I responded back was, yeah, well, maybe you should take your own advice, buddy. And that made him even madder, and he was escorted off the premises.
Oh.
I think that was like the only time I ever styled on somebody that hard at a tournament. And I have a feeling I would invoke the same feeling if I walked into like Evo or some shit with MVC3 and just went, where's your motivation with Virgil? But then again, Virgil's like one of the best characters in that game, so I feel like everybody would be playing Virgil.
Yeah, there's a saying,
Wait.
if you play Virgil, you'll just sold your soul to the devil. But, whatever, it's a fighting game character, goddammit. It's supposed to be
In
broken.
your study to understand the dark arts of tier lists, you
Yeah.
sacrificed your human soul to become a sweat lord as well.
That's... You see, that's my problem with meta in some games, because sometimes can be so tight for new players that they are obligated to play those in the meta, quote unquote, to have fun. But sometimes that isn't the case. Like, he can play Virgil. Yeah, I can go with my own team, like I don't know, Deadpool, Ryu, and maybe switching between Captain America and maybe Nova, and still can have fun. But yeah, the meta in some old games can be rough. Like I know,
It's like I
Virgil
always
is,
say.
like, oof.
Reject the meta. Return to Unga Bunga.
Oh yeah! God damn it!
It's like, God, I had the Pringles can on ready for that. That's my favorite bit.
Oh yeah. Also,
But yeah, like every time somebody is like going on and on about the meta and how much it's that important, I'm just like, bro, I'm just unga bungering my way to the top, bro.
I mean, to be fair with them, I like to bitch about the meta in some games like the next guy, but sometimes you just have to play to have fun. Ignore the meta. Like I know the meta is fun to talk about. I know it's fun to just bitch about some characters being broke as shit, but you can have fun with characters that are off meta. Like I know some games are heavily on meta, like MOBAs and all of that, but sometimes go and play on other games, like other multiplayer games.
When you kiss the ass of the
Yeah.
self-proclaimed anime protagonist.
I love that misspell though.
Emily's poor, unfortunate mistypes. We love to see it.
Yeah, foams can be a bitch. Oh. Oh.
I'm just gonna screen cap that for later.
Save that quote, please.
That's what I'm doing. I'm literally throwing it in my quotes tab as we speak.
Oh. I'm not on the computer. Yeah, I noticed that. We noticed that. It's a phone. I need to change the background on the chat on the screen.
I'm on the computer! Ah!
What? Okay.
Oh my god. Even better.
How can you misspell kick and instead write keys? I
Hey.
don't get it.
English is hard.
Yeah, I know. I'm a Spanish person speaking in English right now. And sometimes my brain can't switch back to Spanish. Trust me, it's hard.
I mean, yeah, that's like, okay, if I was like still living in Ireland and I like recently moved here, that would have been an issue because I would have had to translate Irish to English back to Irish. It would be a nightmare.
It will be painful. Hold on. Let me get this bigger.
She just responds with "fuck you."
To be fair, yeah, it's hard to multitask while writing. I can be fair with that.
Oh god, like reading words is even more difficult.
Oh, imagine. I mean,
Actually,
I mentioned.
hang on.
Okay.
This is a perfect segue.
Yeah.
What is your stance on video game HUD size?
You're talking to someone that if has no glasses on, like right now, has to literally just stick to the screen to see something that is small. So
Okay, so we're in the same boat then.
yeah, if I have my contact glasses on now, which I don't because I take them off because it was time, yeah. But if I have those on, I will not have that much of an issue. Still would need a relatively big HUD size because small letters are a bitch, and sometimes
Small HUDs are
yeah.
the bane of my existence.
Yeah, HUDs in video games sometimes can be a pain unless they are not necessary that much. Like, for example, let's say you're playing a Spyro. In a Spyro game, you don't need a HUD. You just need to keep an eye on a small text that appears on the bottom center to know if you collected all the gems. That's it.
Yeah.
But
Like that is it. Like you have your collectible HUD like at the top of the screen, but
Yeah.
it's the perfect size. It's not obstructing anything. This is a constant across the whole series.
Yeah.
Even the Legend series, which has the small ass enemy names in the corner, sure, but you can still read it from a good distance and see the health bar accompanying it. However, you got like a Final Fantasy 14 is a game I can bring up as a perfect example.
No. I got a perfect.
Everything.
No. I got another perfect example with the friendship series of Spyro, which is Crash. If you're like me, and I know you cannot distinguish color letters from the same color on the background sometimes, right? You have that problem?
Right.
Well, Crash 3 has this particular problem that, at least for me, sometimes the HUD for the boxes, which is important for 100% completion, you cannot see it well on nighttime stages or sunset stages, or basically stages that has cold, dark colors in general, because the color of the box's HUD is brown, like a dark brown.
Yeah.
Well, that's a perfect example, because that is a part of a HUD you need to keep an eye out if you want to 100% completion on a Crash game. But Spyro has the same need of a HUD for the gems, but you just need to pay attention to a small number on really clear letter and really clear font color, and with the
It's
slightly
consistent across the board.
Yeah, it's consistent,
While
and
Crash
it's
is not.
and
sometimes.
it's easily distinguishable. Like you can easily see that in the middle of the screen, and it's on a color that doesn't obstruct anything on the level. I don't know if you know what I mean.
Oh no, I know what you mean.
Yeah, well, that's the case. And you can have, of course, HUDs that you need to keep an eye all the time. Playing World of Warcraft or some similar games like Mu, it's a pain in the ass. You need to keep an eye
MOBAs,
on a lot of
like,
small text. Well, not MOBAs.
Yeah, like MOBAs, MMOs, like
Yeah.
those type of games that sometimes will have a small HUD are like nightmares. Like
Yeah.
going back to the point, like you mentioned World of Warcraft, I mentioned Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah.
Like I never played FF14, but my sibling has. Watching my sibling play it was kind of a nightmare for me to look at, because there's so much going on, and you also got the HUD, which is really fucking tiny. And I don't know if you can adjust that, because I never messed with the game myself. I hope to God that is a thing you can fix. FromSoft games also do this, where sometimes the HUD is really tiny. Dark Souls 1 has the best HUD in the series from what I've seen, along with Sekiro, and maybe Bloodborne. Like, the health bars are perfect sizes to where you can see them and, notice when it's empty and shit. You can see your soul count. Like, everything is sized and perfectly readable from a distance. Meanwhile, you got Dark Souls 2 and 3, which are like, okay, you can't see that. And then you got Elden Ring, which I can barely even notice the HUD sometimes.
Yeah. And then
you have like Ghost of Tsushima, which is not a game that's very similar, but its HUD is very, very minimal. In fact, it's non-existent. However, when it does show up, you can adjust its size, and like the largest size is the size that it should be by default, because it looks like it's perfectly readable. You can color code the subtitles.
Wow.
Like, by default, I think the subtitles are either white or yellow, but you can change it to a more noticeable color. So, for example, if you have an easier time noticing red letters compared to, like, blue,
right,
you would go with red. I usually just go with, like, white text on a black box. So that way, no matter where I am, I'll be able to read the subtitles or see the HUD. Yes, it is obstructing the beauty of that game. However, I'm able to read my waypoints. I'm able to see what the objectives are. Like, I'm able to see that shit. If it's a microscopic HUD, like on an FPS, for example, looking at you, Apex, it would just be hard to follow. It's like that's the only game I can use for an example, because Halo, thankfully, doesn't have HUDs that are stupidly small.
Well, my problem with Halo is my monitor. Like, Halo Infinite has this funny thing that doesn't have the resolution my monitor has, which it's weird, because all the games I played even from the PS3 era, had this resolution too, which is 1360, I think 1368 x 762, something like that. And usually that's a quote-unquote HD for the Xbox One. Like, I don't know, it's weird. I don't know why Halo Infinite doesn't have that function, like that resolution specifically. And thanks to that, I have literally the radar on the well, all the bottom part of the hood cut off, like a good chunk.
Oh, you mean like your monitor doesn't match the size of the game screen?
The game screen doesn't match the size of the screen.
Right. That's usually... Now, this doesn't always fix the issue, but that's usually why I always play with windowed mode. Because, like, I'm able to get close... Like, I have my screen fairly close to me at all times. So, even if I'm playing windowed, I can still see the text. Now, if I'm using something like Vroid, I can't do the same thing because when you shrink that window, you can't read the text at all.
Yeah.
Which annoys me. But then again, it's not a game, so they can get away with that,
Yeah.
I feel. But for a game, though, like, almost more often than not, the HUD will scale with it, unless it's one of those games where you put it in full screen and the HUD is, like, microscopic. Like, it just...
Yeah.
Like, SA1 is a good example I can use, where I'll see some YouTube videos of people going through that game with, like, 4K 60 FPS patches or something, and then just, like, seeing the time and the rings and the life amount just, like, dots on the screen. I'm like,
Yeah.
why do you do this? It's like, why do you like having these menus so tiny? Like, yeah, you probably have a big-ass monitor, but there's literally an option in the mod loader that makes it to where that never happens. Like, the HUD will always be the size it should be, no matter what your screen resolution is.
Oh,
which
God.
I feel like most games should have that by default. Like,
Yeah.
doesn't matter like what platform it is, they should have that as an option by default,
Well,
to where the HUD will just be a certain height.
Well, I've been playing a game a few months ago, which called Deeper Galactic. That game, when you brought it and launched it for the first time, the hood is, at least for me, way too small. Like, you need the hood like any other game. You need to keep an eye on your objectives, your ammunition, your load on the materials you have, and all of that. But having the hood being that small, because it adjusts to the resolution of your monitor, that's fine, but the hood stays the same resolution as the resolution itself, so it doesn't like scale up when the resolution is changed, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Well, that you have to manually go and like make bigger the hood, basically. But that's a thing with some games that happens. Some of the hoods, for default, will be small. But still, it's kind of a bitch sometimes, because there are games like, if I'm going to bring League into this, because that's a game that primarily needs to focus on the hood because of the minimap. You need to focus on the minimap, then you have to read biblical size of skills. What the hell?
Yeah, League, from what I've noted, from the very small snippets of gameplay I've seen of that game, there's a lot that you need to pay attention to.
I mean,
and I'm just like, how the hell
sometimes
can people do that?
Look, sometimes when you already tested out the champion, it's like shutting down your brain. Like,
yeah, like if it's something you can shut your brain down to, then I can understand that. But like in the heat of the moment, like if you don't practice and you're like throwing yourself in there, you're like, wow, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Well, yeah, that's the fun of League sometimes, because you enter a game with five with other 4 randos against bots, for example. And then you pick whatever champion you want. And then you do whatever you do. If you got something after doing those abilities for the whole 30 minutes at most in a bot game, that can you have you can get what people stays with the game, because they may have biblical size details for the abilities and all of that math in those abilities and passives, but at the end of the day, they need more execution than just the reading.
Yeah, it's like Layman said. I play League when I have podcasts to listen to or I'm watching shows. It's like it's that sort of thing you can turn your brain off to.
Yeah, I mean, I was a League player for a long time, and to be completely fair with you, sometimes I shut down my brain so hard that I pass 12 hours playing without even noticing. It's that hard and addicting. But to be completely fair with you, it's most fun with friends, because with them you have your limiter, because the tilt is the limiter of that game.
Yeah.
But still, you have the biblical size passives and abilities, but what you need the most is just go to the practice mode and read and test out the ability, because sometimes what the ability says is completely different to what it does, but it's way better seeing the execution of that ability or something like that. Anyhow, let's move on to another topic until I start talking about meta again. I don't want to. I don't want to talk about League meta, because that shit evolves like a mother. Every single month it's completely different, and I don't want to. But
yeah, I feel like the meta of that game is like a flavor of the
month,
day sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, kinda. But well, moving on. What else? I'm fit. What?
League meta is run it down mid and feed.
Oh yeah, that's the tilt meta. That's the like a diff meta. Yeah. Hold on. Oh yeah, mobile games. I forgot about those. Do you play any mobile games, or do you know any mobile games you want to bring up?
Okay, well, there was one mobile game that I did play back when it first came out, because I was on the beta test program for it, called Post Night. That is the only mobile game I really played, besides maybe a little bit of Sonic Runners. But I'm typically not the type to play mobile games if I can help it, because most of them are just not fun to me.
Yeah.
However, there is one that's sadly ending soon that I wanted to play, but my phone's too old to even play it, called Dragalia Lost.
Wait, Dragalia Lost is finishing his run? It's...
Yeah, sometime soon. I don't know. I don't remember the date it said, but apparently the game is ending service soon.
Oh, man. Wow.
But I've always wanted to play it, because it's like the one Nintendo IP on mobile, besides Mario Kart Tour, Mario Kart Tour is not interesting in the slightest, if I'm being honest.
I played Mario Kart Tour a little bit, yeah, but...
I played it on my Kindle. I had to hack my Kindle to even play stuff from the Google Play Store, but it played alright.
Yeah, it's Mario Kart simplified to a point that it's practically non-fun.
Yeah, it's like you're always using tilt controls and guided turning without doing any of that.
Yeah.
But Dragalia Lost was the one that I wanted to play, because it was namely because the art style and gameplay looked fun.
Well, in my case, I played a little bit of mobile games last year. More on 2019. But
Caliph All-Stars is the segue for this, isn't it?
Kinda. I was about to mention 2 games first, which are Crash on the Run, which by now it's ending service soon too.
Crash on the Run is another one I wanted to try.
Yeah, that game is slow. it's way slower to progress in that game. That's why I left it. Then there was a My Hero Academia game, which is an open world beat 'em up.
Oh yeah, that recently came out. Oh, I'll be right back for a second.
All right.
I'm being called in the other room.
All right. Well, going aside to another story while we are here, I'm planning to give this show a run for a few more. Well, I'm planning to keep this show on. Like, every Sunday I will try to call up a Vtuber during the week so we can organize next episode and next episode so I can have people coming on Sundays and have a good time. So yeah, and the VOD for this first episode will be on my main channel completely, like the whole hour. I'm planning to keep this as a podcast. I will do a little editing to remove the starting and VR back screens on the VODs, but aside of that, they will be completely on YouTube. And I will use my advantage since I'm not a. I enjoy that a lot. Yeah, I'm loving this too. To be completely fair, I had the idea popping up a few weeks ago, but I was in the middle of exams and I don't wanted to try it out just yet. But since I'm just finishing with those, I just wanted to jump back streaming since my electrical problem is no more since it's autumn now down here. And yeah, now I can play and do whatever I want, have the tracking working beautifully thanks to the lights and all of that. Yeah, this will be really fun to do every Sunday, and if I can mix up some streams on the middle, that will be perfect. But for now, I'm planning on just doing on Sundays. Like I was saying, the VOD will be on my main YouTube channel, which is on the socials panel. I will do the cuts for the cards, the start, the ending, and maybe the VR backs. And then, what else? Yeah, I have a few ideas for videos too. I might use some topics from this podcast for those videos, but what else?
So you're using me as a guinea pig.
Yeah, I already told you that. I already told you that. You're not the only one. Like I told you before.
I did take a peek in another place that you already have your next guest. You already have your next guest lined up.
It's not what you think it is. Trust me.
Oh.
It might be the third or the fourth one though.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But well, what was the topic? Oh yeah. The My Hero game. Well, that wasn't. that was
Haragi emote.
Oh shit. Oh.
That's a good emote.
Yeah, I love it. Well, the My Hero game was an quote-unquote open world beat 'em up gacha game that came out a few months after Genshin Impact. And to be completely honest with you, that game was fun. I mean, yeah, it was grindy, it's a gacha game at the end of the day, but it was fun. The gameplay was completely different to KOF All-Stars, which I also like a lot. But yeah, that game is a fun time. If you don't want to invest money, it's also a good time. Way better than Crash on the Run, to be completely honest. And then there's KOF All-Stars, which for some reason I never could get that working because the emulator keep crashing on me every single time I try to do some missions for the event or whatever. And I tried to find solutions to this and there is none for the emulator at least. And I cannot use my phone to save my life. I barely have space on that shit.
Yeah, I am in the same boat. My phone is just too old and the storage is just non-existent to even take advantage of playing a mobile game.
Oh yeah. Oh well. Then what else we have? Oh yeah. What about the controversies of the video game industry in general? What do you think about that? Like, let's put the example of, I don't know, Thrill Kill? The banned PS1 game on all over the world?
Oh, you mean like banned video game stuff?
Yeah, those technically are technically polemic
There's
things.
not really many I can think of
Well,
that I know.
I know a few. Mortal Kombat at the start was one because of the gore and violence that was bringing on the industry. GTA also, Manhunt,
Okay, well, Manhunt's the only one I can think of. Other than that,
Thrill Kill.
there's really...
Well, Thrill Kill, the Guy game. Well, the Guy game was deserved. That was horrible. But still. What else? Oh, yeah. You know the story about SNK? No, you know. Like,
Which one?
the story of the company itself.
I do not.
Okay. Let me bring that up because that's technically important nowadays. I'm not so sure of the details because I need to really investigate this, but SNK was on a pretty tight spot around the 2000s, like circa 2004, I think it is. Because there was some shakeouts on the company and the teams that made the King of Fighters series itself was literally on other places. Like SNK itself bankrupt and turned it into small companies like Playmore and I think it's Blue Wave or something like that. Well, those two companies ended up pulling up together back again SNK from the ground up. Demanding the pachinko company that brought SNK in the first place, and then rebuilding SNK as SNK Playmore. Which is funny in this story is the pachinko company did something so monumentally stupid, which I'm still shocked that nobody mentioned this before, but they sold the IP for all the SNK games, like all of them, to Playmore. Well, ended up in Playmore. They sell it to all over the place, but the thing is, they sold the IPs and then have the balls to keep making pachinko machines of those IPs, which they don't own at all. Like, what the hell? And they ended up paying, I think it was 50 million for all of that. Case of stupidity in the gaming industry is something to behold sometimes. Like, what
Yeah.
the hell?
The amount of stupid things I've seen the gaming industry do is monument. Like, if I had a nickel for how many times the gaming industry royally fucked up something,
Yeah.
I'd probably be a billionaire by now.
Yeah, for some of these stupid things, I always like to go to Matt McMuscle's videos, like the What Happened series.
Oh
he
yeah,
does is
yeah. Matt
top
has like
notch.
a great way of detailing like all the things that went wrong with a project, and I appreciate him for that.
Oh yeah, I always love to know the background about my favorite games. Sometimes, for example, the Twin Sanity episode he did, there are some things that I already know, like the concept art and all of the scrap content, but I think I didn't even know about the time frame for that and the problem with the name.
Yeah, I recall the name being very controversial.
Well, the name was the
Or
first
to an
one.
extent.
Yeah, the name was a last-minute pitch to Insane, which they just transformed into Insanity, which I think it was their third option. They had Unlimited, which that name is used on the demo, but aside of that, well, they just ended up with Insanity, which, to be completely fair with you, it really shows that the that absence of content and all of that. It just makes me a little bit sad to think about the possibilities that game had. And always have like... I always like want to see that game remade, like completely. All these things they already had, plus the old lost content, quote unquote lost content, back into that game. That would be fun.
Yeah, I feel that would sell really well. There's speaking of Crash, going to its companion series Spyro.
Yeah.
I've seen people talk about how they want Spyro to have the Crash 4 treatment, where you just have a new game continuing on the new continuity set by the remakes.
Yeah.
However, I would also like the current devs of Spyro to take another shot at Enter the Dragonfly and maybe A Hero's Tale, because we know what was wrong with those games. We know ways that we can fix them. And they have a winning formula and a very polished game engine, as well as graphical assets they could use to make that game the way it should have been years ago.
Well...
But that's also the thing. It's just easier to make a new game in a different continuity and erase it from existence. Like, Wrath of Cortex wasn't bad. It was just mediocre. Crash 4 is like an alternate universe.
Well, it separates all the games.
Like, well, yeah, it's literally just a continuation of Crash 3.
And confirms
Warped
that
kind of...
Yeah.
What?
Confirms that all the games in general are technically canonical in their own way, because, like, the plot of Crash 4 is basically multiverse chaos. You're jumping from universe to universe, visiting alternative reality of a character that is already established on the main series, and all of that. They literally just say, well, fuck it, all the games are canon now. No matter the order, there is no chronological order. At all.
Yeah.
I love that. To be completely fair with you, I love it.
There is, however, one caveat that comes with that, where sometimes this is actually a segue to another topic, I guess, is like thoughts on video game canon, where it would be... Now, as someone who tends to follow the canon of things a lot, like, when it comes to specific series, like Mega Man, for example, has people, like, arguing the logistics of the canon. Like, who really created Proto Man? Did Zero kill the classic characters? You know, all that type shit. Those are just fan theories and fanins and all that other shit.
Yeah, headcanons.
Like, and, like, people will sometimes take the original word of the devs and twist the narrative around to better suit their crazy theory. Like, years ago, Game Theory made a video about how, and it was all based off the, like, mistranslation of Mega Man 7's ending, where it's like, Mega Man's the real villain, Wily's the good guy. And there's a YouTube channel that I basically get all my Mega Man knowledge from, Reploid Revo. He made a whole video recently debunking literally everything about those videos and correcting them with actual canon facts that have been said by the devs, as well as, like, showing evidence. It felt like an Ace Attorney case where it's like, Cataclysm's theory is a thing? Show me the evidence showing that he did it. It's like, Keiji Inafune said so. Really? Well, according to this source from a developer interview in, let's see here, 2009, that it's not in Zero's character, therefore he never would have done it, even if he was insane in the head due to a little error. It's like, you can't argue with developer quotes when it comes to canon stuff. It's like me saying, hey, Link has always been right-handed, and Nintendo going, no, he's always been left-handed. But in these two games, he's right-handed. Yeah, well, those two games are just two different iterations of that character.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, that's more of just I wouldn't say that's canon,
yeah,
but it's like both are canon, but at the same time, it's like, it depends on the circumstances. And don't even get me started on Sonic series canon.
oh no,
because-
no.
Oh boy.
No, that is not, like, I mean,
Like, that's a whole different can of worms. It's like everything is canon, make your own conclusions. No,
Yeah,
you're
no.
setting yourself up for plot holes
yeah,
and weird shit.
I
Like,
mean, I think the idea of the Sonic creator about the Sonic games in general is every single game is their own thing. Like, there's no continuation. There might be hints to other
a
games.
self-contained story and
Yeah.
a reference to the past. Like that.
Yeah, there might be hints to the other stories, but at the end of the day, they ended up being really vague about it. So they ended up being just their own game, their own universe, or their own timeline. For example, let's bring out Shadow the Hedgehog here. For example, he's supposed to be falling down the earth, right? After Sonic Adventure, I think 2. Yeah, after Sonic Adventure 2,
Yes.
he's falling down the earth. He's supposed to be dead or something. But then what the fuck happened with the whole android type of stuff? If Eggman had all those army of shadows in some place, why in the fuck he ended up awaking the original quote unquote shadow in the first place?
So, well, that very same game literally disproves that, which I find hilarious.
Yeah.
So,
See?
like, how that whole thing went is, and speaking of SA2, people always bring up the moon. Like, bro, the moon is the moon. It doesn't always have to be the same after a specific game. Self-contained stories exist. Like I said, like, yeah, you can bring mention to it, but saying like, oh, it's just always turned around. That's something Izuka thought up on the fly because he didn't know the actual answer.
Yeah.
But it's like, that whole mindset of everything is canon can get you in a lot of hot water when fans start asking questions. And the thing with the Shadow Android thing is just what Sega was doing with that game was just, it's following off the ending of Heroes.
Yeah.
Because like Shadow falls to his death at the end of SA2, and he's presumed dead until we see him at the beginning of Team Dark Story and Heroes.
Yeah.
Except we're led to believe this isn't the real Shadow. That's an android imposter.
Or clone.
However, we do know, thanks to the last story final boss theme, if you wait like 4 minutes in the fight, Eggman will confirm straight up that the Shadow we've been playing as in Heroes and this game is the real Shadow, and all those replicas are just attempts to revive Shadow in an android body because Eggman actually thought he was dead, even though the healing pod actually healed him. Well, because Shadow's also immortal, he can't die.
Yeah.
As long as he has a surplus of chaos energy flowing through his veins, that bitch isn't gonna die anytime soon. It's like I may not be an aficionado in Sonic canon lore, but I know enough to disprove a crazy theory when I hear it.
I mean, yeah, but to be completely fair with you, sometimes the canon of some series can be a little way too intricate.
Yeah, sometimes the canon is weird.
This example this is a perfect example of that, since you're telling me that I need to wait for that voice line. I know that voice line, and I know you need to an insane amount of time in that boss fight to hear it. And you can even barely hear it because of the balance of the volume on that fight.
Yeah, and there's also like another voice line that you have to wait a good while to hear in SA2, where so there's like this mural in Sonic 3, right?
Yeah.
And it's depicting like the final boss fight of that game.
Yeah.
However, there's also the mural. Now, there's references that Shadow is based on this ancient echidna carving. That's where Gerald got the idea. Okay, there's no developer interview confirming that, so it's just speculation. However, there is a line from Shadow in SA2 saying, "This ultimate lifeform thing, it's actually you!" That's just Shadow's theory.
Yeah.
Like, he's the self-proclaimed ultimate life form. However, he's like, maybe Sonic is the ultimate life form after all. It's like, he's just like thinking outside the box or just having his own little theory. Like, I don't think it was ever stated that Shadow is correct, because then there would be 2 ultimate life forms.
Yeah.
However, that's like, Shadow is the true ultimate life form if you think about it, because that's his whole thing. He was built as a cure for that series universe. Like, he was created in a joint effort or something along the line.
Yeah,
Like,
he was.
the main reason he was created
Yeah.
was for like that game's equivalent to the AIDS thing.
Yeah.
Because like,
the Dr. Gerald wanted to cure Maria. That's why Shadow
Yeah,
existed. That's why he ended up allying with I think it's Black Shadow or something like that.
well, Black Shadow is like, so like, from what I actually understand, he was created not only as an experiment to find a cure for Maria's illness, but also so she wouldn't be alone because everybody else was busy and all that.
Well,
And Shadow,
he had a brother. She had a brother. The hell? Okay. I think he died? Hold on.
like he's got a connection, and it's like that whole thing where it's like yeah, you can make the black arms more interesting without making it more complicated.
Yeah.
And it like, if you try to take Archie canon and throw it in with main series canon, it just doesn't work.
No.
Some of it will make sense.
No. Nah. I mean, yeah and nah, because for what I know, the Archie comics were way harder on the crazy powers. Like, they literally made Sonic literally the speedster of that universe. He's literally the Flash, one of the most broken DC superheroes you can have.
Yeah, it's just like, Archie canon is its own separate can of worms, and it's also more complicated than main series canon. If you try to fuse them, it's gonna be, oh god, like, headache waiting to happen.
No, that will not work.
It's like, that's why, like, now, Death Battle isn't really credible, but that's why when they did, like, Sonic for those Death Battles,
yeah,
there is one, like, when he went up against Flash, they picked Archie Sonic because that one,
he's the one that can compete with the Flash. He's the one that can compete with the comic book character. Comic book characters usually
exactly.
Usually,
it's like,
yeah, comic book characters are way too overpowered compared to the other installments of those characters. For example, it's not the same seeing a Flash on a comic than the Flash on a live-action series or a cartoon. It's not the same.
Yeah, exactly. Like, every series will have its own canon when you really think about it. Like, going back to the Mega Man series, it has a specific timeline. Mm-hmm. It's got a branch also, like a single branch timeline. So we have, like, let's see, we got the classic series, then the X series, and then right around X8, we stop right there.
Yeah.
And there's one timeline where it breaks off into Command Mission, which just continues from X8 onward. But it apparently takes place before X8. It's weird, but it makes more sense to put it after.
Yeah.
Because it's in 22XX, not 21XX. And in the primary timeline, we go from the X series, like the final game in that one, all the way to Legends. And then years later, or no, I think Legends is at the tail end, actually. But either way, like, everything is in the same timeline. But, like, the Zero series is in the same timeline, usually, because the Elf Wars did take place in the primary timeline. And that, like, there's, like, for example, there's no canon appearance for how X showed up in that game. Like how he looked in that universe. Like, we don't know what he looked like. We only have like concept art to go off of
Right.
and an artist interpretation by bonus level. So we wouldn't be able to tell like what his current body looked like. And another thing of canon is like how his appearance changed. Like, why does Zero going from like big, tall, bulky shoulder pads to skinny little child? That's just because his body got upgraded over the time.
Right.
Like synthetic muscle fibers, like very thick armor-like clothing. Like the bridge between Reploids and humans was basically non-existent, and it got to the point where in the ZX series, when humans reach a certain age, they have the option to basically be combined with Reploid parts. That way the union between human and Reploid is like the whole thing is complicated.
Yeah. It's Mega Man. at the end of the game.
Okay, yeah, I'm remembering now clearly. Legends is at the very end. Because like the whole world's flooded and like carbons,
Wait.
which are basically like cyber humans.
Wait, hold on. Wasn't Mega Man Star Force or Mega Man .exe the ones at the last? No, wait.
Actually, yeah.
Star Force
Actually, wait.
is the one
Hang on.
the one that is way on the future.
Let me actually fact check myself real quick here.
Just in case though. Because
Because-
I remember hearing something like that. Like it was
Yeah,
the
'cause
other
I'm-
Mega Man
yeah.
Classic, Mega Man X, Mega Man Ballnut, Mega Man .exe, and Mega Man Star Force.
Hang on, let me actually look this up here. Let me see. Let's see. When they create Zero. No, that's just the timeline creation of Zero. That's not gonna work.
No. Oh, and
And this
then-
art.
oh shit! And there's also the Mega Man C series, the ones on handhelds.
Yeah, the Zero series.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of the main canon.
Well, continuing on with other like theory of like lore of characters, there's some like really complicated series to follow if you want the like a story canonically speaking timeline, which it will not work most of the time since video games in general usually evolve and they change completely depending on what circumstances the company behind them are handled. For example, King of Fighters has a really drastic change of tone from King of Fighters 98, the Orochi saga in general, to the Nest saga because of the change of the company. The company was going through some tough times. Some people that worked on the original series left out the company to fund out another new one company, and they ended up changing completely the tone of King of Fighters because of that. And I think it's because of that since 1999 the last Fatal Fury game was Garou Mark of the Wolves. That's my theory over there. And that's why the story changed for the Crimson Saga after 2002. And then the change then nowadays is occurring thanks to King of Fighters 14. Sometimes the canon of the games can be literally just snatched out, changed, just because of what is happening outside of the game. For example, one thing that was retconned on King of Fighters was supposedly Kyo and Iori were supposed to die after King of Fighters 97, but they came back as secret unlockable characters / bosses on King of Fighters 2 and King of Fighters 99. And from then onward, they keep coming back.
Yeah, that's just how that worked.
Yeah. But still, it's kind of
Like
funny.
sometimes fan demand will outweigh the All right, hang on. I think I found the timeline. All right, so there's 4 timelines.
Yeah, I knew it.
So with Timeline 1, we got Mega Man 1 all the way until whenever the next classic game is.
Mega
And we
Man
have the
11
X
at
series.
this point.
Yeah, so it would go from 1 to 11.
Yeah.
And then from 11, we'd go to X1 all the way to X6. There is a time where Zero seals himself. That leads into the Zero series, which goes from 1 to 4, which leads to ZX, and then to Legends, Legends 2, and whatever happens in the future with that.
Yeah.
Timeline 2. We got Mega Man Classic to 11, X to X6. Zero doesn't seal himself. It goes on to X7, X8, and then there's like a plot point where Axel doesn't know who he is or some shit. That leads on to Command Mission. Well, actually, no, it doesn't. Timeline 3. 1 through 11, 1 through 6, Zero doesn't seal himself, X7, X, Command Mission, Axel doesn't find out who he is.
Right.
Then Timeline 4 is its own thing, which is Battle Network and Star Force. So yeah, Battle Network is its own timeline, which leads into Star Force.
Right. Whew.
And there's also a note here that says if Capcom doesn't release X9 and it somehow ties in with the Elf Wars and Zero's ending with X6, Timeline 2 is then retconned.
Oh my god. The fuck?
So yeah, I was wrong. It's not as simple as I thought it was.
Yeah.
It's actually more complicated.
I was expecting that, but still, what the fuck?
Yeah, it makes the Metal Gear timeline blush.
Can I ask something? You know the Metal Gear more than I do. Does the lore for Metal Gear specifically, you need to like go to outside of the game sources to know some stuff?
I don't know actually.
Like
I would assume no. But I do know that there's like I do know each game has its own timeline.
Oh.
Like or like hang on, let me actually check because I'm curious now. Metal Gear timeline.
Let me see here.
Okay, yeah, we got a pretty straightforward timeline actually.
Well, they all were made by the same guy in charge, so I don't see a problem there. Like every single Metal Gear game were made by Kojima, right?
Alright, so yeah, we got 3 at the start of it. It then goes to Portable Ops, Peace Walker, Metal Gear 1, like the original from 95.
Yeah.
Or no, 95 is the time period the game takes place. So we have the original on NES, then the sequel to that, then Metal Gear Solid, Solid 2, and then 4. And Rising is not canon,
Yeah.
but it's like people... Kojima basically said, make your own rules with that one. So...
Yeah, that's the first one that creates their own timeline.
Like, that's the one that basically is like... It's not canon, but also canon at the same time. Like, that one's like a gray area.
Nice. Well, see, that's what happens when you have a constant creator in charge for all the games.
Well, Metal Gear also has a few spin-offs, like the Metal Gear Acid series.
Survivor.
But I don't... Yeah, and Survivor. Those, I don't think...
No.
No, those aren't canon. Those are... They have their own timeline, so they're not canon.
Right. But still.
Actually, hang on. Yeah, I did find a timeline that includes Acid.
Oof.
Oh, and of course it's on Reddit. Go figure. Let me pop this out in a window so I don't have to log in just to look at it. Alright, so we got Metal Gear 1 and 2. Wait a minute, no. Okay, we got Metal Gear 1, Snake's Revenge, and Solid Snake, which is the same game. Metal Gear 1, Metal Gear Gaiden?
The hell?
Oh, Ghost Babel.
Ah.
Then Solid 2. And then we have... is that Twin Snakes? Yeah, that's Twin Snakes, which is kind of a retcon. Oh my god, this is making it more confusing. Then we have... Oh. Oh, this is game release timeline.
Oh, well, that explains it.
Never mind. So it just... That explains why everything is... that explains why everything's so fucking weird.
Well, it's Metal Gear. It's part of the course, technically.
Yeah, and then I actually forgot Metal Gear Survive and Ghost Babel were a thing.
Oh
my god. That is a... Oh boy.
Yeah, God. Okay. So, we're almost 4 hours in. What did you say? We keep going a little bit more, or you want to call it a day?
I'm good to stop whenever you are.
Let's keep it up for a few minutes more. Just, let's check those 4 hours just in case.
Wow, you were cutting out severely on my end there.
Okay. Let's keep it up a little more. Like, a few minutes more. Just to see if I can reach the 4 hour mark.
Alrighty.
Okay.
That'll be a good milestone.
Yeah, well, technically this isn't the first stream I did 4 hours in. The first one was, funny enough, I was playing Warframe. Like, for a lot of time. That's a thing, that's a good segue too. What's the game you think you have the most hours in?
I feel like Emily's gonna call me out for this one.
If she's not trying, yeah.
Okami.
Oh yeah, wasn't wasn't a surprise.
That's like,
but still.
I have across every version that I own. If I were to add up each playthrough that I have on multiple files, I think I'd round it to about, I want to say at least 670 hours in total. I think is a rough estimate.
600. Well, yeah, maybe. I don't know how to count hours in time plates.
Most of that playtime, however, was taken based on how much I played the Wii version, because that was the first version I owned.
Oh.
And I barely played the PS3 one. I think I only played that version once, so that was like a typical 40-hour playthrough. But every other time I played it was usually repeat playthroughs on the Wii and the PS2 version.
Oh. Well, pretty cool, pretty good at the end of the day.
Wait, no, not 670. That's not right at all. It'd be at least over 200.
Well,
that's more realistic.
Yeah, I think that's the amount of hours I have on Budokai Tenkaichi 3, now that I think about it. I remember playing that the whole summer, like the whole winter for you, like the whole vacation season. Holy shit, I played the shit out of that game.
Yeah. Hang on, let me actually do some quick maths here. 40.
I think I ended up completing that game too 100%. Like, I did all the challenges, the RPG mode, the story mode, and I think unlocked every single character. So, yeah.
320 altogether.
Ooh.
Is the real number.
220. Yeah, that's a good amount of hours, yeah.
Four 40-hour playthroughs on the Wii version, one on the PS3, one on the Switch, one on the PS2, and then I think another one on PS4. That leads to 320 in total.
Nice.
So, yeah, not a bad number.
Really nice. Then I'm about to just, like, throw a bomb here. More than 2,000 hours on Warframe is not healthy. Like,
I believe that.
Yeah, that game, when you get the hang of it, it literally absorbs you. It's Final Fantasy XIV levels of addicting sometimes. If you...
Oh, and I'm also doing the math on how much I've played Wind Waker. It's like an hour and 60.
An An hour?
Or not an hour 60. No, not an hour 60. It's at least 160 hours in total.
Oh, that makes more sense. Unless you're a speedrunner, you cannot complete Wind Waker that fast, I think.
Yeah, no. Not even the world record is... Well,
No.
it's most likely smaller.
The world record is way smaller, but I'm talking about glitchless run of Wind Waker.
Nobody does a glitchless run of that game, let's be real here.
Yeah, the cinematic can be painfully.
That would just be a long play, realistically.
Yeah. Unless you know your movement and do cheesy, like, not glitchy, but like cheesy shortcuts. Sometimes you can do that, but I don't think you can do that on Wind Waker. Unless you, of course, do a glitch. But
Yeah.
still. Speaking of speedruns, what did you think about those? Like, did you enjoy seeing or trying to speedrun sometimes?
Yeah. I watch a fair amount of speedruns, but only for games that I'm interested in. Like, the one game I've tried speedrunning several times was Kirby's Adventure on the NES. But that game, it's kind of... It's not a good speed game if you don't have the quote-unquote right hardware for it, because I own that game on the Wii Virtual Console, which is not the ideal way to play it. Like, most speedrunners that I know, like, personally, they run the 3DS version.
Oof.
Because the 3D Classics version has no slowdown. Because it was made from the ground up or something. I don't know.
Wow. Well, in my case, I sometimes enjoy seeing that, but only for old games like PS1 64 era. Like, those games sometimes like are the primo objective to go and try to do speedruns because of the broken sometimes they can be.
Yeah?
That's why Super Mario 64 is popular in general for the speedrunner community. There is also the emulation topic we could talk about. Like, I already know it perfectly fine what is your stance on that, but could you explain that to the public watching here?
So, my stance on emulation is that I think it's perfectly fine if a game is, like, impossible to get a hold of. However, so the thing with emulation is people see it as piracy, which isn't always the case. Sometimes that's the only way you can play a game. Like, let's say I want to buy a copy of Mother 3. I can't get that game anywhere else. Like, if I get it secondhand, that's not going back to Nintendo or the devs. That's just going to the person I bought it from. Emulating it, though, you're essentially not really gaining anything, but you're not losing anything either. I mean, yeah, you're playing a game that's really good. However, it would feel more rewarding to buy that game. But since it's impossible for most people to get said game, that's their only option. Now, this is coming from somebody who actually has a physical copy of Mother 3, so not a good example to use. But that also leads into the next point here, where if you have the game in question, there are ways where you can still emulate without angering people with the law. So the main thing is, oh, you're emulating a game using a ROM that you got offline. That's illegal. You're pirating. Oh, but I own the game. It's still pirating. No, it's not. That's in the legal gray area. If you own the game, you're allowed to do that.
Yeah, technically, that works with every product. If you, for example, I don't know, you brought some snacks, but you ended up giving those snacks, that's fine because those snacks are yours. You paid for them in the past. What you do with them, it's up to you. There is no like specific rule to what you need to do with what you brought. For example, you can brought something for you and ended up not using it then. what do? You either sell it again, or you give it to a friend.
Yeah, exactly. That's what like secondhand buyers do.
Yeah.
Like anything you get from like a secondhand source, that's usually how it happens.
Mhm.
They bought it a long time ago, and they don't need it anymore, so they'll put it up for sale or an auction, and the next person that buys it is taking ownership while also, paying back probably the original price. Like,
Right.
so scalpers are kind of like the nefarious way that people do this, where they'll buy something, like let's say you're in Canada, games are like $80 there. You buy a game from Canada and you sell it for triple its original price.
Oh yeah.
That is like the basis definition of scalping.
Yeah, that.
And scalping is not only nefarious, but also a big dick move, because it's sort of gatekeeping people in a way from experiencing that thing. Like, that's why people can't buy a certain amount of Pokemon cards, because scalpers.
Yeah.
But that's not related to piracy or game emulation in the slightest.
Well, something that can be related to games is technically the hardware. Sometimes,
Yeah, exactly.
even more with modern hardware, specifically PC parts, you will find those scalpers, because when you see on the original website for let's say a video card, you will see a price, right? But when you see that same video card on, let's say, Amazon, you will see that it's either double or triple the price. Because of
let
the
me
stock.
let me use a good example here that
Mhm.
would better accentuate my point.
Go ahead.
So, the original Crash Bandicoot is readily available pretty much everywhere in the form of the Insane Trilogy. It's got ports on PC, Switch, PlayStation, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
You got the original on PSN with the PlayStation Classics Collection. But for the original physical copy, that's probably going to run you a pretty penny. But you still have ways to experience that game, whether in the form of the original on PS3 if you have one, or the remakes.
Oh,
But
yeah.
not everyone likes remakes or secondhand ports. Therefore, they would emulate the original.
Right.
Now, another example of something I can give here is the best example I can give is, it's fine to emulate, just don't emulate consoles that are currently available.
Yeah.
For example,
yeah.
There was this whole thing with Metroid Dread, right? Where that game came out, and not even a few hours before the release, it was already running on Yuzu, the Switch emulator.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody was complaining like, this is piracy! But most people were emulating the game that they ripped themselves. They ripped the ROM themselves. That's legal. That is a legal gray area thing you can do. That is how you can get around the whole I emulate my game shit. Because, yeah, it's the same as if you own it, it's okay to emulate it. However, more people will probably like you a lot better if you extract the ROM yourself. For example, pretty much all of my disk-based stuff, all the stuff I have that is disk-based that I can play on an emulator, I ripped myself because it's easy to do.
Right.
However, because you'll never know when those physical copies are going to stop working due to disk rot. That is a serious issue. I will have those digital backups on a storage space somewhere, so that way I'll never have to not worry about not being able to play them anymore.
Right.
Alex, I sent you something. Oh lord.
Uh.
It sucks as a video game collector. Yeah.
Yeah.
Table being a video game collector, it's hard to find physical games if you want them.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll find them cheap. Mom and pop stores are perfect for people like me and Table who... Now, I'm not a video game collector. I just usually... if I find something out in the wild and it's decently priced and I have the money on me, I'm gonna buy it.
Right.
Especially if I have the hardware to play it. Sometimes, however, let's say I want to be weird and buy the Sega Saturn Mega Man ports. Now, there's nothing wrong with owning those versions. However, the Saturn did not sell well.
Yeah, those games
So
are rare.
it's not readily available. So it's going to be up there in price.
Right.
Now, the games, however, there is no copy protection on the Saturn. Therefore, you can literally just pirate the games, which is not how you do that. It would be perfectly fine if you owned the game, ripped it yourself, and played it on an emulator. That is how you get around that. You purchased the game, you ripped it yourself, you can do whatever you want with that ROM. It's from a copy you legally own. Now, some people have called me wrong on this with this way of thinking, but like, it's fine to emulate. You don't have to be stingy about it. However, if it's your only, like, some people will say they hate playing on the official hardware, they're gonna emulate it because, oh, well, I love this game, but it's on a console I hate, I'm gonna emulate it and make it something it's not. Like, if you want to have a decent, like, most people emulated Metroid Dread because, oh, I want that increased frame rate and fidelity.
I
Dude.
mean,
Not all emulators can do that, though. You're not going to get anywhere else.
besides you need the
Plus-
power to run that. Like,
Exactly.
emulation. Okay, emulation in general is complicated enough, but the optimization of emulation, it's another completely different beast. For example, it's not the same playing on the Dolphin emulator, which is a Wii GameCube emulator, than the Switch emulator, because the Dolphin
Yeah.
emulator for one side, it's already like years of development in that emulator. But
Yeah, some of these emulators are like developed to actually, work on a wide variety of hardware. It's not like I can just download Yuzu or Xvia, whatever the Xbox one is called, and just expect it to work right out the gate. No, I gotta have the horsepower on my machine to be able to do it properly.
and
But
then is
an
the
older
Oh.
an older emulator, like, now, okay, a good example I can use, DuckStation is a recent PlayStation emulator, and it is already light years ahead of like the other emulators that exist for the same console. But the reason it's light years ahead is that it's based off Dolphin, which already had those extra years of development and fine tuning.
Yeah.
Therefore, you can run DuckStation and PS1 stuff at like quote unquote HD settings on a fucking tablet.
Yeah. I
And,
mean,
like-
yeah.
Like, my old laptop could run PS1 probably. I'll actually have to test that theory because I'm actually curious now. But
Let's do it.
sometimes it won't always work. Some emulators will not be perfect. N64 emulation is still not perfected.
And that emulator, for what I know, it's older than the first PS1. Now that I think
Yeah,
about it.
it's been around forever. Like, Project 64, like, yeah, it'll run good if you have a good PC or know how to make your settings, work.
Yeah.
Like, with the settings I have, it works pretty much the same as I'm playing on the actual system. However, it's not always going to be perfect because there's still going to be stuttering. There's still going to be, like, frame rate issues, texture issues, glitches that are related to the emulator. All that shit. Oh my god, Emily, that's adorable. But, actually, hang on. Let me send this in the group chat.
Oh, okay. Well,
But yeah, like, my whole stance on it is be reasonable
yeah.
with your hardware. If you have the hardware to do it and you own the game that you're emulating, emulate away.
Yeah.
If you can't physically get your hands on it, you have no other way to do it, there's no one stopping you from also, like, doing it the other way. Just don't be weird or gatekeepy about it.
Yeah, just do it, don't mention it. That's it.
Yeah, like do it, don't mention it. Exactly.
Yeah, I'm taking part of this too because that's a big part down here in Latin America too, because sometimes the technology that is on in North America takes months to even years to get down here, especially down here in Argentina. It's way later that it comes out. So sometimes we have to rely on emulation and piracy sometimes. Like in my case, for example, since 2006, I've been playing games on a modified PS1 that can run every type of disc, even pirated disc of games. That's why I have games and experience some of them. And to be completely fair with you, I'm not against piracy, and I'm not in favor of it, because sometimes you need to pay for it. There is no way you can go free about getting something like pirated.
Yeah,
a
like
game or a
some
program.
places you just, yeah, it's like you said, some places you don't have the hardware or anywhere else that would have it available, so you have no choice but to pirate it.
Right.
And there's really nothing wrong with that. Like, yeah, it's not morally correct, but as long as you have the desire to want to be able to buy things physically, but you just can't at the time, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just like, because eventually you'll be able to. Like, I feel that's the more morally correct option, where it's like, yeah, it may or may not hurt the developers, but at the same time, there's really no other option.
Yeah, I mean, there are some cases like for example, some programs, software you cannot get because of course, viruses and all of that. That's a danger that still exists and will exist for a long time, and who knows how much. But at the end of the day, living on the situation that you can afford it, like you cannot, you can just pirate it, and then when you can afford it, just go for it. That's in my case, for example. I used a program for a long time, like a long time. I think it was AutoCAD. I used it for my whole studiage on high school, and ended up not paying anything to the program itself. And I still own, I still feel like I own something to the creators of that program. But I'm not able to pay it because first it was an old as fuck version, like it was a 2007 version running on a really low-end computer, slow as fuck. But that's the thing. Also, different versions of some programs and games can be downloaded, and it will not be the same experience. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, there are different, like, if that's the way you're able to experience those games, then just that's the way you experience them. It's like, eventually, like, yeah, some people will probably give you shit about it, but at the same time, it's like, it's just one of those things you can't, like, sometimes you can't help it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, if it wasn't for, like, emulator developers and, hell, even people just emulating shit in general,
Yeah.
game preservation wouldn't be a thing.
Well,
Like,
if you really think about it, most of the thing nowadays are being using is thanks to modders and developers like that. For example,
yeah, exactly.
For example, Robot Netcode started as just a project of emulating old arcade games with the objective of playing online, and nowadays Robot Netcode is used on the biggest fighting games there is. It took years for that to happen, but it's happening right now. It's amazing some of this stuff, like some of the changes of some emulators can be applied to the newer consoles so they can run old games and retrocompatible themselves with old games. It's so cool. Ah. What?
I was laughing at something in another chat.
Oh. Well, I think we need to wrap this up. I don't know how much time Falls was in on that stream at this point, but... Ooh, boy.
He's been going since, like, 4.
Yeah. Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Did you see the thing I linked you?
Link me... I saw it.
in general.
Oh yeah, so adorable. Did she post it on Twitter though? I want to retweet this so bad.
I don't think she did yet.
Oh well.
I would have gotten a tag on Twitter if she did.
Well, your tags on Twitter were really weird. You mentioned
no, I would have. No, like I would have been tagged, like added.
Oh. Oh, right. Well, looks really cute. Oh, understandable. Yeah, it's. I understand people not wanting to go on Twitter. It's perfectly understandable. Everybody has their reasons, so I don't mind. Well,
Yeah.
I think it's hour to just wrap this up. It was a really, really good talk, though. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, it was a very, very interesting subjects to be had.
Yeah. So, well, next time I'm still thinking about who will be next, but it will be another friend, though. That's for sure. Thank you for accepting this invitation. I know you're pretty busy lately, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to get a hold of you before you get all busy jumping all over the place, going unga bunga on every job you got.
That's one way to describe it, yeah.
But still, you're having fun with what you're doing, so that's an unga bunga actitud, though. That's it.
Just the unga bunga mentality is what I'm gonna call that now.
Yeah, let's go.
That is just gonna be like, it's funny. Like before I even got up and came on here, I had a text from my director like, "Hey, I got some lines for you to re-record," and I'm like, oh, "Okay."
Oof.
So I'm probably gonna do that after this.
Oh, okay. All right.
It won't I'm supposed to be on vocal rest too, but at the same time,
You have job to do.
I don't. At the same time, I don't know when to stop.
Oh, that scream you did a few days. Well, yesterday? No, the day before yesterday.
It was the day before. The fucking someone
What am
was
I
like,
fighting
"Hey,
for?"
yeah, like the what am I fighting for?"
Or the why am I screaming for? Well,
Yeah,
both.
what am I screaming for?
Both.
God, the fact that I just reeled back and did it without a second thought is gonna be the death of me.
Yeah, that's the thing that will make you have some trouble in your throat later on.
I mean,
Well,
there's I've been doing this for years at this point. It doesn't affect me as much as you think.
Whatever. I said this before, I don't know if you were there, but I'm going to upload this to the main channel. I might do some cuts on the BRB and ending screen so it can fit together. But
Yeah.
yeah, I might tag your both channels just in case, on the title.
Yeah, cause I've been posting regularly to my other channel, so it'd be good to actually link that for a change.
Yeah, but anyhow, thank you everyone for coming up. This was a really fun first time for a show, and I hope to keep doing this a long time. It was really fun, and thank you again for coming by though. I really appreciate
no
you taking
problem.
the time.
And if anybody watching the VOD or from YouTube want to hear more of this dumbass, you can find me over at Twitter at MegaAlexel1998, MegaAlexel on YouTube, and Mega_Alexel on Twitch.
It will be all in the description though. Don't worry.
Yeah, it'll all be in the description though, so yeah. And whenever you come by on stream or in the videos and you got no idea what to call me, take note from the beginning. You can call me whatever, I'm fine.
If they
I'm fine with it.
Man, okay, hold on. This is a 3-4 hour video. You really think they will remember that shit?
I mean, they could always rewind though.
Well, yeah.
It's rewind time, motherfucker.
Alright, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's enough, yeah. See you guys later though. Bye bye.
Goodbye, everybody.